Chapter 606. So that's how it is, so that's how it is. Gu Chensha had seen through some of the secrets of the divine central continent. The clash of spirits and demons had caused a massive vortex to form in the divine central continent, pulling in some of the great treasures of the myriad worlds, thus creating a miraculous scene of treasures and fortuitous encounters. In this divine kingdom, there were many treasures that were originally sealed, but now they were all restless and attracted, breaking the seals to enter the divine central continent. The massive vortex that was the divine kingdom was firmly sucked in. At the same time, Gu Chensha's consciousness entered the dimensional realm. Looking at the turbulent flow of spacetime, he saw that the suction force of the divine central continent was getting stronger and stronger. The turbulent flow of spacetime caused many ruins in the billions of parallel spaces to be pulled in. It was like the eye of the sea. Is this the so-called divine kingdom tide in the divine kingdom grand technique? Every many years, the divine kingdom tide would appear, using the power of the endless mainland to attract countless spacetime treasures. Gu Chensha recalled the 72 layers of the divine kingdom grand technique. Xing Qiongshi had comprehended the divine kingdom grand technique, and his understanding of the secrets of the divine central continent had reached the pinnacle. When he used the 100 layers of the divine kingdom grand technique, he could almost become one with the divine region. It was to gather one's own power and use a miraculous method to combine with the divine region, unleashing an attack that could destroy the heavens and earth. In the past, Xing Qiongshi had used the power of the ominous armor to activate the 100 layers of the divine kingdom grand technique and shattered the martial saint's paradise with a punch. If not for the power left behind by the heavenly talisman emperor, the Wu clan would be gone. The power of that punch could kill a heavenly venerable. If Xing Qiongshi had personally attacked, it would have been much more powerful. But now, Xing Qiongshi could no longer activate the 100 layers of the divine kingdom grand technique and could not borrow the power of the divine region. This was actually a trump card that he had been preparing for a long time to kill 3 heavenly venerables. Lu God's divine kingdom has finally appeared and was attracted by the divine central continent. Longevity God looked around. The huge divine kingdom was a small kiliacosm and contained many secrets. Even a god could not see through it in a short time. Apart from that, there were many restrictive spells in the divine kingdom minor kiliacosm. If they were not handled well, they would be trapped by the formations, which it would be extremely dangerous. Longevity God walked carefully. In Lu God's divine kingdom, the most valuable thing is the deity seat. Obtaining the deity seat is equivalent to obtaining Lu God's orthodoxy and everything he has. Longevity God tried his best to search. At this moment, a light flashed and another person appeared. This person wore a Taoist robe and had a jade hairpin in his hair. He held a horsetail whisk in his hand. He was a young Taoist. An aura that could suppress rivers and mountains appeared on his body. It was as if wherever he went, that place would be suppressed. Longevity God, I didn't expect you to find Lu God's divine country. As soon as the young Taoist appeared, his eyes shot out light and directly saw through Longevity God's invisibility technique. Taoist Ping Nan. Longevity God was furious and shocked. You actually came to meddle in my affairs. I came to the Central Divine Prefecture in search of fortuitous encounters because of Lord Wan Senshi's guidance, yet you disregarded his orders and actually came here. Looks like you have ulterior motives? Ha ha ha. Taoist Ping Nan laughed. Longevity God. I came here today because of Lord Wan Senshi's guidance. Lord Wan Senshi asked me to supervise you. You can obtain Lu God's orthodoxy, but you must hand over Lu God's deity seat to Lord Wan Senshi. I know you want to take Lu God's deity seat for yourself. You should know that once you obtain this deity seat, as long as you study its secrets and refine it, you can become a true god. Your lifespan will increase by 10 times, and your cultivation will increase by more than 10 times. You can also use this deity seat to travel through space-time turbulence. Then, you can use this ability to obtain longevity god's deity seat and fortune god's deity seat. Not only do you have longevity god and fortune god, but you also have great ambitions to break through to the Empyrean realm. Do you think Lord Wan Senshi doesn't know your little thoughts? Taoist Pingnan, we are of the same branch. If I obtain the deity seat, it will be of great benefit to you. Longevity god frowned. Deity seat was a supreme treasure obtained by the ancient heaven's sacrificial talisman by sacrificing the Son of Heaven's aura. As long as a god-level expert obtained the deity seat, their lifespan would increase by 10 times, their combat power would also increase by 10 times, and their potential would also increase. Then, they would have the hope of breaking through to the 33 transformations, or even the 36 transformations, becoming an Empyrean realm. For example, Maha God had already broken through to the 36 transformations, becoming an incarnation. In other words, after a god-level expert obtained the deity seat, the benefits would be indescribable. This was like a scholar in the mortal world who passed the imperial examinations, but didn't obtain an official position. Most of the imperial examinations were actually just editors in the Hanlin Academy. Those who knew how to operate and had a background would obtain an official position. An official position was something similar to the deity seat. Now that the heaven sacrificial talisman had appeared, it was a pity that Wu Dankong didn't become a son of heaven, so he couldn't win the hearts of the people and obtain the Son of Heaven's aura. Naturally, he couldn't obtain the deity seat. However, if he could find the deity seat left behind by a fallen true god, then a god-level expert would be able to reach the heavens in one step and become a true god. Since ancient times, there were people who successfully slaughtered true gods and took over the deity seat, like a dove occupying a magpie's nest. We aren't of the same branch. Longevity God, back then, you always wanted to destroy me and devour my sect. Now that our two sects have merged and are both under Lord Wan Senshi, you must be very unwilling, right? Besides, the two of us have been fighting openly and covertly for many years. You have always wanted to defeat me, but unfortunately, you could not succeed. However, if you were to obtain the position of a true god, I would immediately be suppressed by you. This is not a good thing. Tranquil Chaos continued. In this broken god nation, I also know where the deity seat is hidden. If you didn't have my help, you wouldn't have been able to obtain it. I obtained the orthodoxy of Longevity God and Blessing God. Longevity God said, "The deity seat of Lu God is in my pocket. I'm a fated person. Even Lord Wan Senshi can't take away my fate. Do you want a piece of the action?" Of course I want a share. Who doesn't want the deity seat of true God? Although Lord Wan Senshi has roped in Wu Dankong no longer has any power in the imperial court. He was forced to retreat by calming Immortal Department, not to mention obtaining evidence of the imperial court. Therefore, the sacrificial decree in her hand is temporarily useless. It can't give us the deity seat. Tranquil Chaos laughed and flicked his horsetail whisk. Longevity God, if you're smart, you'll share it with me. This is inevitable. How do I share the deity seat? Longevity God's face was filled with killing intent. There's only one deity seat. If there's you, there's no me. I mean, today, give me the deity seat of Lu God, and I'll cooperate with you to obtain the deity seat of Longevity God and Blessing God. How about it? Tranquil Chaos was not polite at all. Tranquil Taoist, you didn't come here to negotiate with me. You came here to steal my fortune. Very well, then let's fight here. Let's see who is stronger and who has the right to acquire this god seat. If you and I fight here, it's very likely that we'll become someone else's dish. At that time, you and I will be caught in the small divine province and become laborers. I'm afraid we'll sink into oblivion forever. Longevity God already had the intention to kill Tranquil Chaos, but he still began to compromise. How about this, let's join hands. Give me the deity seat of Lu God, and I'll give you the treasures in this divine country. How about it? Longevity God already wanted to kill tranquil chaos, but he still began to compromise. How about this, let's join hands. Give me the deity seat of Lu God, and I'll give you the treasures in this divine country. How about it? This divine country is broken and has completely lost its power. What do I want it for? Although the value of the treasures is not bad, it's still far from the deity seat. Tranquil Chaos shook his head. Tranquil Chaos, I can't be bothered to talk to you at this time. Longevity God suddenly seemed to feel something. His face changed, and his body changed again and again as he flew out. In the place where he flew, a seal seemed to have broken. Countless space-time storms swept out, but in the center of the storm, a chair appeared. This chair was made of stone, very simple and heavy. There was nothing mysterious about it, but it just floated in the depths of space-time. No matter how fierce the space-time storm was, it couldn't move at all. This is the deity seat. Gu Chencha's heart was also very moved. That's right, the deity seat was a chair made of stone. As long as a deity expert sat on this chair, they would have some of the abilities of a deity. Then, after gathering the faith of all living beings, the power of this deity seat would be completely activated. The deity seat was mysterious beyond words. Although Gu Chernxia obtained a lot of ancient memories and knew many secrets of the deity seat, there were some things that needed to be personally tested in order to get the best understanding. Gu Chernxia wanted to pour his heavenly law's power into the deity seat and refine it. Then, with the power of this deity seat, he would be able to fuse release Bao, permanence and impermanence arrows, and Wanxiang's shattering rod into his body. For him, the deity seat had a lot of research value. Perhaps, with this seat, he could obtain even deeper secrets of the heavenly law. Because the deity seat was also condensed by the heavenly law. At this moment, at the highest point of Jiang Prefecture's Fugui Mountain, above the sky, a middle-aged man and a woman stood side by side, talking to each other. The man had a strange appearance, with big sleeves fluttering in the wind. He seemed to have grasped the highest truth and law between heaven and earth. He was actually Dharma Saint, and the woman was Wu Dangkong. Your Excellency Dharma Saint, Wu Dangkong said, I didn't expect Lu Deity's God's country to appear here. Do you think Longevity God will obtain this deity's Tao and deity seat? Chapter 607. Longevity God and Calming Chaos are both extremely powerful people. They don't belong to any sects and are lone cultivators. Yet, they manage to cultivate to the God level and are extremely close to the sage level. They establish their own sect, second only to the immortal Tao's 72 mysterious gates. I can imagine the difficulty. Wu Dangkong nodded in agreement. It was fine if the second or third-rate sects didn't have many rules, but once they grew to a certain extent, they would be suppressed by the 72 mysterious gates. Whether it was the sects established by Calming Chaos or Longevity God, they had all been suppressed by the 72 mysterious gates on the surface and in the dark. If they weren't careful, they would be annihilated. However, these two experts still managed to hold on and were able to do it with ease. From this, it could be seen how powerful these two experts were. However, this time, I'm going to take action and snatch this Longevity God's opportunity. The appearance of a true God is no small matter. Even I can't help but be tempted. Dharma Saint said, with this true God's position, we can suppress our legalism's minor chiliocosm and accelerate its evolution into a medium-grade world. At that time, it won't be impossible for us to reclaim the power of the imperial court. How long will it take for the legalism's law realm to become a medium-grade world? Is it really that difficult to advance? Wu Dangkong frowned. I can't believe that the Calm Deity Division actually advanced just like that. The difference between their cultivation levels and Lord Warlock Saints can't be calculated, but they just happened to have such an opportunity. Could it be that they are really fated? They're not fated. They're protected by Gu Taxian, and you're just a chess piece of Gu Taxian. Of course, you didn't do well enough. As a result, you've lost the initiative and are in a passive position. You have no choice but to cooperate with Wan Senshi. This person isn't a good person either. Dharma Saint shook his head. Speaking of which, Lord Dharma Saint, I have a question. Who is this Wan Senshi? Why haven't I heard of him before? Moreover, he was wearing a bronze mask when he spoke. Was he a man or a woman? Wu Dankong knew that the Dharma Saint was knowledgeable and wanted to know the truth. He's an ancient antique who has existed since the Great Desolation Age. His identity is extremely mysterious, and not even I know where he came from. However, I do know that even the three Celestials are his juniors. He should be from the same generation as the Immortal Lord, and has some connection to the prehistoric times. The prehistoric era was before the primordial age. The Dharma Saint said, however, who he really is isn't that important right now. What's important is that he's an Empyrean level expert. Gathering the Immortal Tao Mystic Sect, fighting against the Immortal Tranquility Department, and even giving you benefits is enough. Lord Dharma Saint is right. Wu Dankong said hatefully, more than half a year ago, we suffered a crushing defeat in the imperial court. The aristocratic families lost all their face and wealth. The juniors of the Immortal Tranquility Department suppressed all the aristocratic families. I had the Xingqiong clan behind me, but I couldn't do anything. Gu Tanjian had the Great Spirit God behind him, and the Crown Prince had the three Celestials behind him, but I still couldn't do anything. In truth, whether it was the Xingqiong clan, the Great Spirit God, or the other existences, they all feared Gu Taxian. Even I am afraid of ancient treading on immortals. In terms of offensive power and lethality, Xing Qiongshi had comprehended 100 levels of the Divine Prefecture Grand Magic. He was number 1 in the world. If he were to strike out with his full strength in the Central Divine Prefecture, he would be able to kill 3 celestial paragons. He could become one with the Divine Prefecture. He could become one with the Divine Central Continent, but now that the Divine Central Continent has been suppressed, he can't use it. The Dharma Saint said, I've seen through the juniors of the Immortal Tranquility Department. The most terrifying one is that Gu Chensha. He has already cultivated the heavenly Tao magic, and he can transform without end. Wudong Xing was transformed by him, which is why he's stirring up trouble and keeping us in the dark. What? Wu Dankong turned pale with fright. I was wondering why Wudong Xing was so strange. So it's that animal Gu Chensha in disguise. Damn it, damn it, damn it! She had said the word damn it 3 times in a row. It was clear that not even the waters of the 4 seas could wash away the hatred in her heart. If this kid becomes a god, even I won't be able to do anything to him. Fortunately, his cultivation speed is much slower than ordinary people, because the heavenly Tao magic has never appeared since time immemorial, and no one has ever successfully cultivated it. Although I've cultivated the 9 levels true dragon magic, compared to the heavenly Tao magic, I'm still far from it. It's almost impossible for me to succeed. The Dharma Saint said, the most terrifying thing about this kid is his art of disguise. He can hide and camouflage, and no one can discover him. His fate has also disappeared. Therefore, even if we destroy the calming immortal department, we won't be able to kill this kid. Doesn't that mean he's invincible? Wu Dankong shivered. We can't do anything to him. That's true. The Dharma Saint said, a person who has successfully cultivated the heavenly Tao magic is invincible. As long as he deliberately hides himself, no one in the world can find him. He can completely hide and cultivate in the dark. Once he has mastered the heavenly Tao magic, he will come out and kill everyone. However, now that the heavenly Tao has changed, the future is not the future, and the past is not the past. It's hard to say whether he's invincible or not. After all, the cultivation of the heavenly Tao magic has eroded the power of the heavenly Tao itself. Once the calamity comes, it will be his weakest moment, and he will definitely face a great calamity. I hope so. Otherwise, we won't be able to survive. Even in the current union of 10,000 immortals, he can still hide himself and sneak into it. Even Wan Senshi won't be able to find him. Wu Dankong said, "But Your Excellency Dharma Saint, the most urgent thing for me now is the matter of the heavenly sacrificial talisman." The Dharma Saint nodded. The heavenly sacrificial talisman has been distorted by Gu Taxian. Wu Dankong said, "Every time I perform the sacrificial ritual, half of the power I obtain will be transferred to Gu Chench's body. As a result, after I obtained the talisman, I dared not perform the sacrificial ritual. Otherwise, wouldn't I be giving it to him? Rumor has it that in the past, the heavenly Tao magic talisman fell into his hands. Later on, perhaps because of the change of the heavenly Tao, the heavenly sacrificial talisman flew to me. However, it left behind a hidden danger. What should I do now? How can I get rid of the hidden danger?" "I've already guessed it," the Dharma Saint said. "There is nothing we can do about it. The heavenly sacrificial talisman's quality is equivalent to the great thousand world. No matter how strong my cultivation is, it is difficult for me to touch its essence, let alone get rid of the things left behind by Gu Taxian. This can only be a game between the heavenly Tao and Gu Taxian. If the heavenly Tao suppresses Gu Taxian, then the heavenly sacrificial talisman will naturally be undone and its original power will be restored. We simply can't imagine a game of this level, nor can we come into contact with it. Right now, we're watching the game between the heavenly Tao and ancient immortal treading. It's like a few ordinary mortals hearing about the three Empyreans. Is the difference that big?" Wu Dankong did not believe it. "It's even bigger than this." The Dharma Saint looked at Wu Dankong. "It's a pity, a pity." "What's a pity?" Wu Dankong asked curiously. "It's a pity that you didn't have sex with Gu Taxian. Otherwise, you could have obtained many benefits in secret." The Dharma Saint frowned. "Humph!" Wu Dankong snorted coldly. "Gu Taxian forced me to marry into the palace. I haven't even seen him. But I don't agree with what you said. He has so many concubines like the Queen of Law. She even had a son with Gu Taxian. But so what? He doesn't seem to have any abilities." "Do you really think the Queen of Law doesn't have any abilities?" The Dharma Saint smiled faintly. "You're used to doing whatever you want in the harem. But that's because all the concubines who have sex with Gu Taxian have actually received a huge boost of power. It's just that they've been strengthened by the restrictions. Now they've all awakened. The Queen of Law should be able to reach the god level soon." "Impossible!" Wu Dankong almost screamed. "Just wait and see." The Dharma Saint said, "Gu Taxian was able to nurture the juniors of the Celestial Tranquility Department to such a level. He was even able to create a medium-class realm. How could he not have made arrangements for his women? Could it be that after the fall of his country, his women were kidnapped by others and brought shame to him? What kind of existence is he? How could he do this?" "The Queen of Law isn't of the same mind as you, right?" Wu Dankong asked. "All of Gu Taxian's women are dead set on him." The Dharma Saint said, "Actually, even the Immortal Master is no exception. It's just that the Immortal Master has other ideas. Only you, who hate Gu Taxian to the bone, are also an oddity. Your future achievements will definitely be limitless." "Thank you, Lord Dharma Saint, for your praise. However, I've already lost my power. Even if I have the heavenly sacrificial talisman, it's useless. Only the Son of Heaven's Qi can completely activate the heavenly sacrificial talisman, and also condense the position of true God." Wu Dankong said, "In the future, I'll still need Lord Dharma Saint's support." "I'll definitely support you." The Dharma saint said, however, the martial saint's paradise has already been destroyed. The Celestial Tranquility Department has planted a backup plan. In time, they will completely devour the entire paradise. You can't reverse this. The martial emperor was so talented and bold. Such a powerful person was actually captured and killed. It's really unexpected. Now, the control of 1/3 of the martial saint's paradise that belonged to the Celestial Tranquility Department has indeed fallen into the hands of the Celestial Tranquility Department. Wu Dankong was also at his wits' end regarding this matter. The martial saint's paradise was a whole entity. The Celestial Tranquility Department was now like a virus invading it. They had already taken control of 1/3 of it and had started to infiltrate the other domains. As such, Wu Dankong and King Wu Yu were completely helpless. They could only watch as the martial saint's paradise slowly fell into the enemy's hands. More importantly, King Wu Yu originally had 9 deity-level experts. Now that Wu Pokong had been subdued, he kept on transmitting his will over, causing the other 8 deity-level experts' wills to waver. In time, the martial saint's paradise would be completely seized by the Celestial Tranquility Department and become a part of the small divine province. Right now, Gu Chunsha was continuously operating the small divine province. He wanted to turn this small divine province into a minor kiliacosm that could serve as a support to the Celestial Tranquility Department. Jing Qiu, you've come as well? The Dharma saint suddenly looked into the depths of void space. Chapter 608. Male. Jing Qiu, you're amazing. The Dharma saint looked at Jing Qiu. You were able to comprehend the profound meaning of the myrtle crepe star. You used the power of faith of the Holy Sama Empire to melt the myrtle crepe star, and then turned the profound meaning of the myrtle crepe star into a microscopic world. Even though you're not at the God realm, you possess some of the power of the God realm. Furthermore, this is an absolutely righteous path. In the desert, you expanded the empire, cultivated the land, and turned the boundless immensity sea into an oasis. This is a matter of great merit to the heavens and earth. No wonder you've received some sort of blessing. This is just a trifling matter. It's not worth mentioning in front of the Lord Dharma Saint. Jing Qiu's tone was very respectful. What? You've come here today to obtain the position of true God? The Dharma Saint asked. The Dharma Saint wants to obtain this position. With its power, he can suppress all the Dharma realms and turn them into medium-class world. How could Jing Qiu dare to compete with the Lord Dharma Saint for such a grand undertaking? Jing Qiu waved his hands. I think the Lord Dharma Saint has a grand scheme. The reason he hasn't made a move yet is because he wants all the cultivators and experts to enter the broken God kingdom. When the Lord fights for the position of true God, he will suddenly make a move and take the broken God kingdom. This way, all the cultivators fighting for the position of true God will be subdued by the Dharma Saint, including some of the God realm experts. Even the people from the Tranquil Immortal Department will be wiped out in one fell swoop. And when the Lord Dharma Saint takes the broken God kingdom and fuses it with all the Dharma realms will eventually transform. Jing Qiu, you can actually see through my plans. The Dharma Saint nodded. It seems that I wasn't wrong about you. In that case, why did you come here? Could it be that you want to rely on me? Lord Dharma Saint, I have no choice but to cling to you. Jing Qiu nodded. With His Excellency the Dharma Saint's permission, my holy Samar Empire is willing to introduce the legalism's code of all ages, erect a statue of the Dharma Saint, and offer sacrifices to the Dharma Saint. I only hope that Lord Dharma Saint can protect my empire and help it develop. In the past few years, your holy Samar Empire has developed extremely rapidly. I have to say, Jing Qiu, you are a talent. Even the people in the 72 mysterious gates of the Immortal Tao who are good at running a country are not worth mentioning compared to you. If they were to govern the same population of 100,000, the amount of power of faith they could produce would be 10 times weaker than yours. If my school of legalism had a talent like you who is good at management, I'm afraid that we would have advanced to a medium-class world long ago. The Dharma saint sighed. For a sect, it was important to have peerless masters to suppress the sect, but the most important thing was to manage and develop talent. Only in this way could the sect's mountain gate have a steady stream of people's faith to absorb, nourishing the operation and promotion of the minor thousand world. The so-called way of running a country is nothing more than to help the people and unite the hearts of the people. When the way of the economy is developed, the hearts of the people will inevitably begin to rot, giving rise to many freaks. In order to unite the hearts of the people, they must be brainwashed. Once brainwashed, the people themselves will lose their creativity, and will instead restrict the country. These two things must be balanced, and attention must be paid at all times. Right now, the Celestial Calmness Department's governance has a huge hidden danger. They rely on the tree of desire to transfuse blood into the world, and then use oaths to brainwash the people. Their methods are too simple. If this continues, it will be fine. Unfortunately, because of the devil calamity, countless people have obtained fortuitous encounters, which will inevitably cause them to swell, and they will not be able to control it. Moreover, in order to show how broad-minded the Celestial Calmness Department is, they do not collect fortuitous encounters. If this continues, more and more people will obtain fortuitous encounters. Who will be willing to be ordinary? As a result, as the experts among the people who have had fortuitous encounters brew, there will definitely be a huge hidden danger. If this chapter is not finished, please flip the page. At that time, the tranquil immortal department would be exhausted, and would naturally be dragged down to the ground. At that time, even if there is no devil calamity, the imperial court will still fall apart, let alone when the devil calamity is eyeing us covetously. Jing Qiu spoke at length. The Dharma saint's expression was solemn. He could naturally tell that Jing Qiu had comprehended his own path. I don't want your holy Sama Empire's faith. The Dharma saint said, I don't want any sacrifices either. However, if you think my Codex of Eternity is useful, you can take it to comprehend. But if my guess is correct, Wan Senshi is very interested in your empire. What? Jing Qiu's expression changed. You don't need to worry. Wan Senshi is carrying out a huge plan. The Dharma saint said, given his status, he will only nurture your empire, and will not restrict you in any way. Your empire is developing well, but he doesn't care about it. Just as the Dharma saint was speaking in the distant depths of the desert, in the palace of the Holy Sama Empire, Jing Fanxing was reading through documents. Although he was not the emperor, he was still the most respected minister in the imperial court, and his position was unshakable, because this was the arrangement of the gods. See, in the Holy Samar Empire, Jing Qiu was the only god. Moreover, in recent years, Jing Qiu's cultivation had become extremely profound, and with the help of faith, he had activated the profoundness of the Myrtle Imperial Star. Even before he had reached the deity level, he had his own microscopic world. With this, his various miracles and operations were even more profound. Moreover, the minute dust world could store faith to aid his cultivation. With the Myrtle Imperial Star's profundities fused with him, he could become a natural-born saint. The Myrtle Imperial Star was equivalent to a lord of 6 stars, only slightly weaker than Zhuge Ye's lord of 7 stars. However, if Jing Qiu wanted to defeat Zhuge Ye, this was far from enough. The devil calamity has broken out in the divine central continent. I've received a lot of information here. I've heard that countless people have had fortuitous encounters. Even old farmers can obtain immortal treasures by hoeing the fields. It's a pity that I'm sitting here right now and can't obtain any of those fortuitous encounters. When can I go to the divine central continent? Jing Fanxing suddenly felt a bit vexed. The divine central continent was now filled with fortuitous encounters. No one could sit still and try their luck. Even some of the 72 mystical gates of the immortal Tao and some of the old fellows from the primeval era couldn't suppress the fire in their hearts. If one was fated to come across a fortuitous encounter like this, they could break through to a realm that they had been unable to comprehend for so long. Throughout the countless calamities that had occurred since ancient times, this sort of thing had been a common occurrence. Jing Fanxing, you can't sit still anymore? It seems that your willpower isn't strong enough. At that moment, a hoarse voice rang out. Who is it? Jing Fanxing was shocked. Then he saw a man in robes and an ancient bronze mask. He couldn't tell if the man was a man or a woman. Knowing that he was no match for this person, Jing Fanxing hastily bowed. Which senior is joking with me like this? If Fanxing has offended you in any way, please punish me. Please do not harm the people of my nation. This chapter isn't over. Please continue to the next page. Very good. You've developed a heart of love for your people. However, this is because the people are your wealth. Losing one is the same as losing an endless source of faith. This kind of love is only for the sake of protecting your wealth, but it's still very commendable. The man in the robes and the bronze mask said, Kneel and kowtow, and I'll accept you as my disciple. Master, please accept a bow from your disciple. Jing Fanxing didn't ask any questions. He knelt and kowtowed 3 times and 9 times. You didn't even ask me about my origin, and just took me as your disciple? The man in the robes and the bronze mask asked curiously. In any case, it's still a knife if I stick my head out, and it's still a knife if I shrink my head. Senior's magical power is so profound that I'm no match for you at all. If you have any evil intentions, you can just kill me directly, and I won't have any chance to resist. Senior, you came here to ask me to take you as my disciple. If I don't obey and annoy you, it'll be a disaster, Jing Fanxing said. You're worth teaching. The man in the robes and the bronze mask nodded. Since you've taken me as your disciple without asking anything, it's your good fortune. Now that we're master and disciple, I might as well tell you that my name is Wan Senshi. So it's Your Excellency Wan Senshi, the Alliance leader of the Alliance of 10,000 Immortals. Rumor has it that you've surpassed the 3 heavenly venerables, the number 1 person in the universe. Jing Fanxing kowtowed again. Where did you hear all this? I'm the one who has surpassed the 3 heavenly venerables, the number 1 person in the universe? The mysterious Wan Senshi laughed involuntarily. You're an interesting kid, but I don't dare to claim to be the number 1 person in the universe. As for the 3 heavenly venerables, although they're my juniors, they've also caught up with them. They're very impressive. Junior heard about it from Wu Dangkong. Jing Fanxing hurriedly said. I see. Wan Senshi ignored these small details. Since you've taken me as your master, I'll have to give you some benefits. Your foundation was destroyed by Banish Immortal, and then your life was extended by Do 19. Unfortunately, it's just a struggle at death's door. It's basically impossible for you to rebuild after destruction. However, I have my means to help you recover and improve. You've encountered such a great calamity, but you're still alive, so you'll definitely achieve great things in the future. Thank you for your guidance, Master. What do you want me to do? Jing Fanxing was overjoyed. It's very simple. Continue to develop your Sama Empire. The more it grows, the better. However, at the most critical moment, I'll have you hold a sacrifice, Wan Senshi said. What sacrifice does Master want me to hold? Jing Fanxing knew that a sacrifice was no small matter. Right now, the power of the entire Holy Sama Empire was in the hands of Jing Qiu. You don't need to panic. The sacrifice is very simple. It's just a prayer to the heavens to expel the outsider. Wan Senshi made it clear. The outsider is the heavenly talisman emperor. Like a virus, he invaded the heavenly Tao and caused it to sink. Now, we're holding a great sacrifice to save the heavenly Tao. This is the merit of saving the world. This sacrifice is also the sacrifice of salvation. I see. Jing Fanqing had the root of wisdom, so he immediately understood. Given your disciples' holy Sama Empire sacrificial ceremony, there's nothing I can do. Master, are you going to gather everyone? The immortal Tao, the demon race, even the demon race, and even the humans, to carry out the sacrifice of salvation? That's right. Once the sacrifice of salvation is carried out, there'll be no hope for Gu Taxian, Wan Senshi said. End of chapter. Chapter 609. Male. All life in the world, gods, demons, humans, immortals, ghosts, and all other living things. Wan Senshi wanted to gather all of them together and hold a great sacrifice. This was the sacrifice of the world's salvation. If all life in the world, all living things, could carry out the great rite of salvation at the same time, then perhaps the heavenly Tao could be reversed and strengthened. This was what Wan Senshi wanted to do. It wasn't some crafty plot. At his level, there was no need for any schemes. All he needed was the power of heaven and earth. No one knew how many living things there were between heaven and earth. The land of infinity alone was limitless. In addition to the land of infinity, there were many other worlds, dimensions, and planes of existence in the depths of space-time turbulence. If many ancient beings discovered 1,000 worlds, then there would be god-level experts in those worlds, as well as countless countries, immortals, demons, and so on. They would form their own systems. If all of the power was gathered together to carry out the sacrifice of the world's salvation, then they would definitely be rewarded for saving the world. You know a lot, kid. Wan Senshi laughed. It seems that Wu Dankong told you all this? She is indeed the key to carrying out the sacrifice of the world's salvation. Without her heavenly sacrifice decree, it would be difficult to complete the sacrifice of the world's salvation. However, the sacrifice of the world's salvation must be carried out in the divine central continent, because it is the center of all worlds. If we gather all of the power here and carry out the sacrifice of the world, then we can spread the idea of saving the world to countless other worlds. In the end, countless worlds will be formed, and countless living things will be inspired to save the world. That will be the true end of Gu Taxian. This is what they mean when they say that all living things are of one heart. Master's plan is simply incomparable. Even the 3 great heavenly venerates would not be able to execute such a grand plan. If Master's plan succeeds, wouldn't he become the savior of the world? Jing Fanqing knew that his great opportunity had arrived. I'll tell you the main point of the plan. The heavenly Tao has been corroded by the outsiders, and the world is about to be destroyed. Doomsday is coming, and we have to prepare to save the world. I don't need you to believe in me. Your holy Sama Empire can believe in whoever you want to believe in. However, even if you believe in any existence, it must still exist in this world. If the world no longer exists, what's the use of faith? Wan Senshi's every word was the truth. Master, is Wu Dankong the savior of the world? Jing Fanqing asked. If he is, why is she so useless? Under the attacks of the little bastards from the tranquil immortal department, they were forced to retreat step by step. I'm afraid the real savior of the world wouldn't be so weak. Don't underestimate the people from the Celestial Tranquility Department. Even the Dharma Saint, Xing Qiongshi, and the Great Spirit God have suffered greatly. Wan Senshi said, if you still look down on them even though your cultivation is high enough, I'm afraid you'll still suffer greatly. As for the true Lord of the world, he had yet to appear. Once the Lord of the Sun and Moon appeared, the Lord of the world would most likely appear. However, since I'm presiding over the great sacrificial rite, the Lord of the world will definitely be drawn here. If my guess is correct, the Lord of the world is currently in the divine central continent, and has yet to awaken. If I can find him, I'll have a fortuitous encounter. As he spoke, Wan Senshi suddenly made a grasping motion. Instantly, a stream of energy wrapped around Jing Fanqing. Then, a medicinal pill appeared within the stream of energy. It was transparent and white, and as it circulated, an old man with a human head and a dragon's body appeared within it. This chapter is not complete. Please continue to the next page. This is a holy dragon pill. Back when I entered the dragon gate of the untainted universe, I gathered the chi of the holy dragon and refined it. Since you've come across such a great opportunity, I'll cleanse your marrow. Wan Senshi used his own supreme arcane art to refine the medicinal strength of the pill, then infused it into Jing Fanqing's body. Then, he flipped the pill over, and another medicinal pill appeared. It glowed with brilliant light, and there seemed to be pure gold flickering within. Under the power of his magic, the pill changed completely, becoming the color of primal chaos. This is a longevity life replenishing pill that I obtained. You've used up your lifespan while cultivating in the black gate of heaven and earth. You've been in a rush to succeed, which has resulted in your foundation being damaged. I'll use this pill to help you replenish it. This pill was obtained by the ancient Son of Heaven, who killed a devil and took his lifespan as a sacrifice to the heavens. It's not something that can be refined by humans. After taking this pill, even if you don't cultivate, you'll still have a lifespan of 3,000 years. Wan Senshi had actually taken out 2 medicinal pills that even gods and saints would be envious of. It was clear how rich this giant's resources were. He was actually the senior of the 3 great celestial sovereigns. Who knew where this old antique had come from? Wan Senshi's body shook violently, and he melted all the medicinal strength into Jing Fanqing's body. He didn't stop there. With a light shout, the great Tao rotated, and countless starlight appeared out of thin air, turning into numerous astral dragons that gathered in the sky above Jing Fanqing's head. Jing Fanqing, you are a tribulation taker and have great power. This time, after suffering a calamity and being reborn, you'll definitely have great achievement. In the future, you should be able to assist the savior of the world, and your achievements won't lose out to mine. Wan Senshi pointed out, and these astral dragons all entered Jing Fanqing's consciousness, manifesting images of the birth and destruction of stars. Jing Fanqing's spirit force increased greatly. This is a wondrous technique that I've comprehended. If you cultivate it diligently, you'll definitely have success. This technique is called the Life and Death Transformation Tao. The superficial world is like a great dream. Life and death are like bubbles and shadows, and a speck of dust is like the universe. If you cultivate this technique, the transformations will become one, your realm will be unrestrained, and your spirit will never die. Wan Senshi forcefully injected a large amount of power into Jing Fanqing's body. Jing Fanqing's body suddenly exploded, turning into balls of energy that continued to circulate. His cultivation level rose steadily. You were originally at the 22 transformations of the Tao realm. Although you were beaten back to your original state, your comprehension and memories are still there. I'll reverse time for you. This way, you'll be able to recover your cultivation level. It'll still be at the 22 transformations, lawful manifestations of heaven and earth. Also, I used the Holy Dragon Pill to raise your talent to the level of an innate saint. You'll be able to cultivate to a higher level soon. Also, your opportunity is about to come. As expected, under Wan Senshi's control, Jing Fanqing's cultivation level was completely restored. His power was almost limitless. His body moved, and with a rumble, he actually turned into a river of all things. The quality of his magic power had reached the 5th level of the true dragon technique. This level was simply terrifying. Wan Senshi's shocking methods could indeed steal the fortune of heaven and earth. He had already reached an unbelievable level. After roaring for a full hour, Jing Fanqing's body changed. He was back in human form. Gu Chensha, I definitely won't let you have it easy. I'm going to completely destroy you. I'll let you taste what it feels like to lose all your power. I'll also make you wish you were dead. This chapter isn't over, please continue. If you still think like that, you'll probably be beaten back to your original state by Gu Chunxia. The current Gu Chunxia isn't someone you can deal with. Wan Senshi sighed. With his current cultivation level, as long as he intentionally hides it, I won't be able to kill him. If he uses the power of a medium-sized world, even a saint who has cultivated to the 36 transformations of embodiment will have to retreat. Your current bit of power is just a strand of hair in front of him. He can turn you to ashes with a single breath. How can you be his match? Jing Fanqing's eyes dimmed. He had heard a lot of news recently, especially about the Imperial Court Conference half a year ago. Gu Chunxia had displayed his ferocious might, forcing many deity-rank old ancestors into a sorry state. With Jing Fanqing's current cultivation level, he had already recovered to his peak strength. However, revenge was still a long way off. Even if he were 10,000 times stronger, he still wouldn't have any hope of doing so. Deities had microscopic worlds, and 1,000 microscopic worlds were equivalent to a minor kiliocosm. 1,000 minor kiliocosms were equivalent to a medium-sized world. In theory, a medium-sized world was equivalent to 1,000,000 deity-rank experts. How could Jing Fanqing possibly compare to such an enormous power? Of course, with Gu Chenxia's current cultivation level, it was impossible for him to mobilize the full power of a medium-sized world. A medium-sized world was like a country. When it went on a campaign against the outside world, it was impossible for every citizen to be a soldier. Don't be discouraged. Gu Chunxia is far too heaven-defying. He will surely meet his doom. At that time, not even the heavens and the earth will tolerate him. That will be the end of his road for him. Wan Senshi said, "Right now, this boy's luck is still flourishing, but that's all part of Gu Taxian's plan. As more and more fortuitous encounters erupt in the Divine Prefecture, it will become increasingly difficult for him to manage the world. The world is in turmoil, and there has never been a lack of ambitious people. As long as there are ambitious people, the world will not develop according to the wishes of those of the younger generation." "Master, I understand. I must endure and wait for an opportunity." Jing Fanqing buried his killing intent deep in his heart. That Gu Chunxia won't have a good time sooner or later. That's right. As long as we successfully hold the great ceremony of salvation, it will be their doomsday, Wan Senshi said. "Master, should I go to the Divine Prefecture now?" Jing Fanqing asked. "You can send an avatar there, but your main focus should still be on the way of governing the country. You should truly expand the Holy Sama Empire and create a brand new civilization in this vast desert. This kind of cultivation is not something that can be compared to condensing magical power and comprehending realms. Of course, if your incarnation goes to the Divine Prefecture, you will find great opportunities." Wan Senshi took out a treasure. It was a painting. Within the painting, there were mountains, rivers, and people. In the center of the mountains and rivers was a great tree, which covered most of the painting. It had an endless flavor. The painting was a primordial treasure, and contained a microscopic world. This treasure was personally refined by me. It's called the Tao Querying Painting. Within it is a world of its own. There are many living beings, valuable existences that I have sealed in countless worlds. Then, the great tree in the painting is called the Minor World Tree. This Minor World Tree was formed from my comprehension of the Primordial Tree. It is superior to the Heavenly Demon Tree and the Tree of Wishes. You can study this treasure and use its power to make the Holy Sama Empire grow explosively. End of chapter. Chapter 610. The Minor World Tree is even stronger than the Heavenly Demon Tree and the Wish Tree? Jing Fanqing was overjoyed. So the Celestial Calmness Department relied on the Heavenly Demon Tree to be so arrogant and produce the human dragon armor. human dragon sword, and human dragon pill. If I get my hands on the minor world tree, won't I be able to suppress the celestial calmness department? Not necessarily. The Tao-seeking painting is a microscopic world that hasn't even evolved into a minor chiliocosm. The minor world tree is only in its embryonic form, so it can't compare to the matured wish tree. More importantly, under the baptism of the heavenly Tao, the wish tree will surpass the limits of the ancient emperors and become closer to the primordial tree. Add to that the operation of a medium-class world, and the tree's power has reached a new level. It's not something an ordinary treasure can compare to. Furthermore, the wish tree is just an idea. The ancient emperors envisioned it, but never actually refined it. Now that the celestial calmness department has refined it, it has gathered the wishes of all living beings. If my guess is correct, it has already begun to break through some kind of limit. Wan Senshi shook his head. What you need to do now is to nurture the minor world tree. How? Jing Fanxing didn't know anything about the minor world tree in the Tao-seeking painting. This tree is special. It absorbs the destiny of others, Wan Senshi said. Immortal teacher Wan said, use your magic power to activate the tree and leaves will fall from it. Each leaf is a talisman that can be used by ordinary people or cultivators. These talismans have great uses. They can be used for defense, offense, cultivation, and suppression of demons. They also have a part of the world's power to protect the body. Not to mention flying, the leaves have a space of their own that can store magic power and astral energy. Not to mention all kinds of treasures, they can absorb the spiritual energy of heaven and earth, immortal energy, and the power of the stars. If a cultivator gets one of these leaves, they will be in an invincible position. If a cultivator gets one of these leaves, they'll be virtually invincible. Master, what is destiny? Jing Fanxing didn't really understand. He was asking a really smart question. The so-called luck, when flipped upside down, is luck. It is a person's fate in the future. One must know that there are millions of possibilities in a person's future. Maybe if your thoughts change slightly, the future won't be what you think it is. When one reaches the 24 Tao realm transformations, one can only see a few futures that are easy to see. As long as the secrets of the heavens change slightly, the future is basically impossible to see. Even for someone at my realm, it will be extremely difficult to see all the futures. Wan Senshi patiently explained to Jing Fanxing. Once a cultivator grasps the world tree's leaf, that cultivator will be able to dominate for a while and achieve great things. But his future will be cut off. Or rather, the world tree will absorb his future. Or rather, the tree will absorb everything. What will it be like? Will I die? Jing Fanxing basically did not understand such a realm. For example, a commoner. He has many paths to take in the future. Some paths lead to a life of poverty and death, suffering all kinds of pain and suffering. There was also the occasional opportunity to obtain the immortal Tao and walk on the path of cultivation. Other than that, there was the wealth that he picked up along the way, making a fortune from doing business and having a house full of children and grandchildren. There was also the opportunity to obtain the appreciation of nobles and slowly become a high official, enjoying glory, splendor, wealth, and splendor. All of these were the paths of his future. However, if he obtained the leaf of the small world tree, he would basically be the pride of the heavens for the first few years. He would get whatever he wanted. But after absorbing all his luck, the world tree's leaf will disappear and return to the world tree's main body. All of his cultivation power would be absorbed, and his luck would dissipate. He would fall to his death if he walked, and he would choke to death if he drank water. In other words, all of the good paths in his future would be absorbed by the minor world tree. The rest of his life paths would be the worst of all possible futures. He will either wander around, suffer humiliation and torture to death, or die a violent death. He will suffer all the suffering in the world. Wan Senchi's words caused Jing Fanqing's hairs to stand on end. Master, if I manage the world tree, will something like this happen to me? Ha 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 ha. Wan Senchi laughed loudly. How could it be like this? I raised you, and if something like this happens to you, wouldn't everything I've done be for nothing? Don't worry, I'll teach you the true secrets of the world tree. Furthermore, I'll also teach you a technique, the celestial divination technique. It'll work seamlessly with your birth and destruction transformation technique, and you'll be able to completely control the world tree when yin and yang circulate. That's right. Jing Fanqing suddenly thought of something. Rumor has it that after the ancient sons of heaven obtained the heaven sacrifice decree, they immediately became the son of heaven. Their luck was great and they could get whatever they wanted. However, after the heaven sacrifice decree flew away, the son of heaven's god-sealing art was completely forgotten. Their cultivation techniques were also lost. Although some of the ancient sons of heaven created their own cultivation techniques, their luck was still greatly damaged. Since ancient times, there has never been a son of heaven who managed to escape unscathed. Basically, the ancient sons of heaven all died. Even the two sons of heaven of the G-state profound gate, Shi and Ji, chose to merge into the profound gate grotto heaven. That was also a kind of tribulation. Could it be that Master's change was comprehended from the heaven sacrifice decree? You're worth teaching. Wan Senchi laughed loudly. That's right. I comprehended the heaven sacrifice decree's ability to create the leaf of the world tree. It can absorb anyone's luck and future. This is an extremely profound method of stealing from the heavenly Tao. The so-called heavenly Tao takes away surpluses and makes up for deficiencies. This is not an evil method, but an orthodox heavenly Tao. It doesn't care about good and evil, nor does it care about morality. It only cares about balance. If a person obtains this leaf of the world tree and doesn't use it, then the leaf can't absorb their luck and future. Master, this move is quite powerful. Jing Fanqing was thoroughly impressed by Wan Senchi. I will definitely not let Master down. I will manage the Holy Samar Empire and evolve it into a huge country, a desert civilization. I will complete Master's plan of salvation. Wan Senchi nodded. I've already given you everything that should be given. You'll have to rely on yourself from now on. Master, the Dharma Saint and Master seem to be fighting over some kind of general trend in the world. The Dharma Saint wants to carry out the Spirit Demon plan. He has his own ideas. What if I encounter the Dharma Saint's solicitation? Jing Fanqing asked the last question. The Warlock Saint will not interfere in matters that I have interfered in. Wan Senchi said, now that the Dharma Saint and I have formed an alliance, his Spirit Demon plan and my Great Savior plan do not conflict. Even if the Spirit Demon plan succeeds, we will still have to carry out the Great Savior plan in the end. Your disciple understands. Jing Fanqing completely understood. It's good that you understand. Wan Senchi moved and disappeared, leaving Jing Fanqing behind. He grabbed the Tao querying painting and sent his spiritual power into it. Immediately, he saw the small world tree in the dust world. There was nothing mysterious about the small world tree. It didn't seem like it could give birth to any treasures. It wasn't as magical as Wan Senchi had made it out to be, saying that it surpassed the heavenly demon tree and the tree of wishes. In short, Jing Fanqing couldn't gain anything from the small world tree. But he knew that the tree was still in its infancy. He had to manage it well and absorb enough luck before amazing things could be born. He put the painting away, and a cruel smile appeared on his face. Calming immortal minister, now that I have this treasure, I'll take all of your people's destiny. Your future paths have been severed. I, Jing Fanqing, am back. Furthermore, I have the protection of immortal Master Wan. Who would dare to touch me? Waves of energy were transmitted out, and Jing Fanqing was very satisfied. Within the medium-sized world of the common people's wish sphere, Zhuge Ye was circulating his spiritual power. Chaotic energy descended from his body, turning into the shadows of mountains and rivers. But in the end, it still turned into chaotic energy. This was the Tao Realm 29 transformation, the realm where one comprehended chaos. Now that Zhuge Ye had reached this realm, he was trying to break through the most important gate, which was to reach the Tao Realm 30 transformation, Grotto Heaven Opening, also known as World Creation Realm. This was God Realm. With my true dragon technique grade 9 cultivation and my identity as the Lord of 7 stars, I am breaking through to God Realm. What is this? There is actually a power that is stopping me from forming the Tao? Zhuge Ye cultivated and tried to break through. His spiritual power fluctuations caused a space storm in the depths of the medium-sized world. Zhuge Ye's current strength was huge. The Tao Realm 29 transformation, comprehension of Chaos Realm, used one's own intent to comprehend the chaos world, absorbing the chaotic energy, brewing, changing, and finally turning it into a world. Dust world. This was God Realm. During this process, one's spiritual power would turn into world power and one's strength would increase by leaps and bounds. If one couldn't break through to this realm, one would just be a normal celestial cultivator. The gap between God Realm experts and celestial cultivators was huge and couldn't be calculated by the Tao. In terms of combat strength, if it wasn't for a freak like Gu Chunxia, even if there were 10 or even dozens of 29 transformation Chaos Realm experts, they wouldn't be a match for a God Realm expert. As long as a God Realm expert spread out their dust world, they would be invincible. Moreover, God Realm experts used the dust world to cross the chaotic space current, and their chances of survival would increase greatly. Apart from that, their lifespan would also increase. But since ancient times, very few cultivators were able to complete this stage. How tall was the word God? Even with Zhuge Ye's talent, fortuitous encounters, and personality, he was stuck here. Chapter 6:11. It seems that it will take some time before I can break through this barrier. But I'm not in a hurry. This barrier is just a small node. For me, it won't cause much trouble. Zhuge Ye slowly withdrew his cultivation. If other cultivators tried to break through to the God Realm, they would act as if they were facing a great enemy. But he was taking a leisurely stroll without any impatience. It was obvious that he didn't take this barrier seriously. Indeed, the God Realm barrier was just a small obstacle for him. As long as he accumulated a little bit of strength, he could easily cross it. His true barrier was the 36 transformations of free embodiment transformation. Once he broke through the 3 realms and reached the Empyrean realm, he would no longer be in the 5 elements sect. This was the real difficulty. Chang Weiyang was also stuck at this barrier. She hadn't made any progress for thousands of years. But Zhuge Ye was confident that he could break through this realm. He stood up and suddenly punched out. Unexpectedly, the 72 layers of the Divine Continent appeared. Then, the diagram of the Divine Continent appeared in the dimensional realm. At this time, under his control, the diagram of the Divine Continent was vivid and lifelike, constantly displaying the current changes. Bang 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 bang. Above the diagram of the Divine Continent, many places suddenly seemed to explode. There were faint flashes of light. Zhuge Ye knew that these exploded places were where treasures had appeared. Every time there was a flash of light and destiny, it meant that someone had obtained a fortuitous encounter. As long as it was in the Divine Continent, there would always be people who obtained fortuitous encounters. Whether it was an imperial court official, a common person, a member of the army, or even the disciples of the calming immortal department, there were many who obtained fortuitous encounters. Some of them obtained medicinal pills that cleansed their bodies. Some of them obtained treasures that allowed them to fight and kill, flying in the sky and burrowing into the ground. Some of them obtained sudden memories that allowed them to cultivate a peerless divine technique. Some of them were shone on by a mysterious light and their aptitude increased. There were too many of them to count. Moreover, the speed at which these fortuitous encounters appeared was still increasing. It was becoming more and more intense. No one could stop this situation. Even if the calming immortal department cultivated a dimensional realm and controlled the world, there was nothing they could do. Zhuge Ye enlarged the diagram of the divine continent and suddenly pointed. The Yanko kingdom's fate was revealed. At the start, the Yanko nation fate was at its peak. It was a golden color with pure white energy that shot into the sky. In particular, the Celestial Pacification Bureau had forced the great aristocratic clans to reorganize the world. In the first 3 months, the hearts of the people in the imperial court were united, and the politics were clear. All kinds of policies were passed among the people, and they were carried out swiftly and decisively. There was basically no obstruction. At that time, Yanko's fate had reached an unprecedented peak, and in the dimensional realm of the calm immortal department, the power of oaths obtained was like a mountain or a sea, surging without end. But as time passed, fortuitous encounters kept appearing in the divine central continent, and those who obtained them inevitably grew ambitious. As a result, the hearts of the people of the world gradually began to scatter, no longer as united as before. There were also many people with different ambitions who were accumulating and brewing in the dark, preparing to take advantage of the situation to achieve their ambitions. This was something that couldn't be helped. Although the calming immortal department had brought about a trend of thought, it was impossible for everyone in the world to have the same mindset and ideals as the calming immortal department. Even if they wanted to destroy the entire world, it would still be impossible. Because this was simply the realm of all living beings are of one heart. This was far more terrifying than the sun and moon shine together or the heavens and earth live together. The thoughts of all living beings were different, and they could change at any time. Even those who had done good all their lives could suddenly have evil thoughts and become monsters. And those who had done evil all their lives could also suddenly have good thoughts, find their conscience, and repent completely. The human heart was harder to fathom than the heavens. The heavens weren't high, but the human heart was the highest. Even if the calming immortal department cultivated the greater thousand worlds, it would still be impossible for the officials and citizens of Yanko to forever be loyal. This was even more so when fortuitous encounters were everywhere. With the eruption of fortuitous encounters, the hearts of the people are beginning to scatter. In a few years, I'm afraid that countless wild dragons and snakes will rise up, unable to suppress them, and they will slaughter each other. Even if there is no devil calamity, it will still be extremely terrifying. Zhuge Ye shook his head, a look of worry on his face. The only way is for our calming immortal department to maintain our strength, intimidate the world, and slowly turn the situation around. The way of the world is to always forge ahead. Zhuge Ye fell into deep thought again. At this moment, in Jiang province, inside the cave of Fu Gui Mountain, in the tattered god kingdom of Lu Xun, the true god throne had already appeared. Taoist Ping Nan and longevity gods stared at the deity throne, their hearts determined to obtain it. Only Gu Chensha did not make a move. He knew that the true god throne was not a small matter, and it was still unknown who would obtain it in the end. There would definitely be countless powerful existences watching, and the earlier one jumped out, the easier it would be to become a target. Moreover, Gu Chensha was not in a hurry. He believed that he could laugh until the end. Even if the true god throne fell into the hands of others, he could use his heavenly Tao art to take it back. Moreover, the battle for the true god throne was extremely intense, and if he hid, he would have a lot of advantages. Rumble. Between heaven and earth, violent energy was everywhere. When longevity god saw the deity throne, he knew that all his hopes were placed on it. If he obtained it, he would be able to become a saint. Even if he sat on it now, without refining the deity throne, as long as he obtained the orthodoxy, he would be able to achieve supreme cultivation. His original intention was to find the orthodoxy of Lu Xun and obtain the cultivation method and principles of Lu Xun. Unexpectedly, the true God throne was here, which was a pleasant surprise. Although the power of the true God throne could not compare to a minor chiliocosm, there were many mysteries that a minor chiliocosm could not compare to. If a true God throne could suppress one's world, the world would be unprecedentedly condensed, and the benefits would be indescribable. Even the current medium-sized world of calm, immortal department could obtain great benefits if a true God throne could suppress it. Moreover, if Gu Qinsha obtained the true God throne, he could use it to suppress the minor divine province and turn it into a minor chiliocosm. Even if the minor divine province devoured so many immemorial God weapons, it was still too early for it to become a minor chiliocosm. However, as long as he obtained the true God throne and suppressed it, Gu Qinsha could activate the arrangements in the martial saint's grotto heaven and completely absorb it. Then he would be able to completely ascend. Kill. Longevity God threw a punch toward Taoist tranquil chaos. As soon as this punch was thrown, heaven and earth changed, the sun and moon rotated, as if all the blessings and lifespan had been absorbed by this punch. What a good punch, the Tao of longevity and happiness, both blessings and longevity. Taoist tranquil chaos threw out a palm strike. As soon as this palm strike was thrown, everything was reversed. No matter how the wind and waves rose, he could still sit on the fishing platform, turning the tide, quelling the turmoil, and bringing peace to the world. This was Taoist tranquil chaos's tranquil chaos technique. Taoist tranquil chaos was overflowing with talent. The chaos tranquil sect he created was ranked 73rd in the immortal path, only one rank away from becoming one of the 72 immemorial mystical sects. This showed how strong he was. The most important thing was that his chaos tranquil sect had not yet cultivated into a minor chiliocosm. Once it did, it would basically be comparable to the 72 immemorial mystical sect. This was his best chance. If he obtained the true God throne and turned his chaos tranquil sect into a minor chiliocosm, he would have a great say in the alliance of 10,000 immortals. Wan Senshi would also have to pay attention to him. On the surface, chaos tranquil sect and longevity God sect had merged, but in fact, the struggle was even fiercer. Still, each of them went their own way. In the past, Taoist tranquil chaos and longevity God had been fighting endlessly. But now, in order to compete for the true God throne, they had to fight desperately. Rumble. The two powerful experts exchanged hundreds of blows here in an instant. Life and death changed, and the power of the world surged. But for Gu Qinsha, this was just a small scene. He had seen the scene of Xing Qiongshi unleashing the 100th layer of the Divine Land. The full power of that punch was enough to kill an Empyrean. In front of this punch, what were Taoist tranquil chaos and longevity God? Give me the true God throne. In the fierce battle, longevity God could not suppress Taoist tranquil chaos, but a smile appeared on his face. Suddenly, a talisman appeared on his body. This talisman was actually signed by the three true gods. As soon as this talisman appeared, the true God throne was suddenly attracted and flew toward longevity God. The huge momentum made Taoist tranquil chaos's face change, and he had to avoid it. Taking advantage of this opportunity, longevity God sat on the throne of the true God. Immediately, light flickered, and countless runes wrapped around longevity God, seemingly conveying some kind of message to him. Obviously, the moment he sat on the true God throne, he had already obtained the orthodoxy of Lu God. The moment he took out the talisman, no one expected him to have such a hidden method. This God is a bit cunning. Gu Qinsha still did not make a move. He observed in secret, this longevity God has some luck, and his attacks are sinister. Before, he used all kinds of means. Not to mention obtaining the orthodoxy of Lu God, it's still impossible for him to obtain the true God throne. Sure enough, Just as longevity God sat on the true God throne and accepted the orthodoxy's inheritance, a space-time crack suddenly opened in this tattered divine kingdom, and a person appeared. This person was tall and thin, wearing armor, standing straight like a javelin, exuding endless majesty. When he saw longevity God sitting on the true God throne, his face changed, and he struck the void with his palm. In an instant, an inexplicable force broke through the void. It was the power of a minor thousand world. Crackle! Unexpectedly, longevity God was knocked down from his position as a true God by this palm. Profound mountain sect. You Jew! Longevity God looked at the incoming person and roared, "Your profound mountain sect is one of the 72 ancient mysterious sects, but it's ranked last, 72. These years, the number of talents has declined. Are you afraid that I will obtain the true God throne and take away your sect's position? You Jew, if you didn't rely on the power of a minor thousand world, you are not my opponent." Chapter 6:12. The mystical mountain sect was ranked the last. Every 60 years, the mystical mountain sect would hold a meeting to fight the monster race and re-rank the immortal Tao sect. But recently, because the heavenly talisman emperor had suppressed many powerful existences, the monster race and immortal Tao sect had stopped fighting. But in terms of strength, the mystical heaven-earth sect, which had a medium-sized world, couldn't take away the first place. But the second place often changed. In the last 60 years, the Tai mystical sect was second. 120 years ago, it was the Cosmos mystical sect. 180 years ago, it was the Heavenly Dance mystical sect. In the last 60 years, the mystical mountain sect was ranked last. The mystical mountain sect was indeed in danger. There were few talents in the sect. The sect leader, Yu, was only at the god level. He was at the 31st transformation of the Tao realm, creating things out of nothing. Longevity God and Calming Chaos were at the peak of the 32nd transformation, one thought connecting to the heavens. Apart from them, the mystical mountain sect only had Yu, who was at the god level. Originally, the mystical mountain sect had 2 or 3 god-level experts, but they all died. The mystical mountain sect was even more disunited. They were listless and had low luck. The power generated from their prayers couldn't make up for the consumption of the minor kiliacosm. If this went on, the mystical mountain sect's minor kiliacosm would wither and eventually degenerate into a minor world. It could be said that without the support of the minor kiliacosm, the mystical mountain sect would basically fall to the 72 mystical sects. You struggled to maintain the sect. This time, he came here to obtain the position of true God and become a true God. Not only would he suppress the minor kiliacosm, his cultivation would also increase and his lifespan would increase. This way, he could continue the mystical mountain sect. Otherwise, if he also met with a calamity, the mystical mountain sect would have no god-level experts. His subordinates wouldn't be able to display the power of the minor kiliacosm and would be annexed by others. Since ancient times, many of the 72 mystical sects had fallen and were replaced by new sections. For example, the limitless heavenly sect had fallen. Calming Chaos, Longevity God, you 2 grass gods also want to enjoy the position of true God? You Jew's body moved, and the power of a minor kiliacosm broke through the air, enveloping the true God seat, and was about to take it away. Yuju's cultivation could not compare to Longevity God and Calming Chaos, but he had the support of the minor kiliacosm. Even in the divine central continent, the power of the minor kiliacosm could break through space and reach him. With this power, even if Longevity God and Calming Chaos became saints, they would have to admit defeat. This was the power of a spirit dimension. Although the mountain profound sect had withered to an outrageous extent, a rotten ship also had 3 pounds of nails, and a skinny camel was still bigger than a horse. He activated his kiliacosm, wrapping up the seat of true divinity. Just as he was about to take it, another wave of power pierced through the air, cutting off his chiliocosm power. A woman appeared. This woman was pure and holy. As she danced, heaven and earth spun along with her dance. With a casual move, she easily suppressed the power of the small chiliocosm. Then, with a wave of her hand, the position of true God fell into her hand. Only a minor chiliocosm could suppress the power of a minor chiliocosm. Celestial Dance Mystical Gates Headmaster, Ji Qingwu. Gu Chunsha recognized her. The relationship between the Celestial Dance Mystical Gate and the Celestial Dance Mystical Gate was pretty good. In the past, Gu Chunsha had interacted with their outstanding disciple, Luo Wu, for a long time. There were also rumors that this headmaster had an ambiguous relationship with the heavenly talisman Great Emperor. Thus, the Celestial Dance Mystical Gate and the Celestial Dance Mystical Gate didn't oppose the imperial court. Because of this, as soon as this woman appeared, Gu Chunsha couldn't make a move. After all, they were friends. Gu Chunsha couldn't take a treasure from a friend. Of course, according to the rules of the immortal Tao, for such a treasure and the position of true God, even blood brothers would become enemies. This was because obtaining it was equivalent to extending one's lifespan by 10 times. On the path of immortality there was no room for tolerance. One had to fight for it or they would fall behind. This was a heaven-defying path. Once one cultivated to become an immortal, father, son, and brother would become strangers. However, Gu Chunsha didn't lack such a true God position. Moreover, this Ji Qingwu definitely wouldn't be able to obtain it. The mantis stalks the cicada, unaware of the oriole behind. Many experts were eyeing her covetously. The most threatening one was the Dharma saint. Gu Chunsha knew that although he had stolen 6 supreme treasures and a lot of world energy from all the Dharma realms of the school of legalism, after the Dharma saint returned, he worked hard to make the family prosper. Although he suffered a great loss in the previous court meeting, he didn't make a move. It was said that the disciples of the school of legalism had also encountered many fortuitous encounters in the past 6 months. Moreover, the Dharma saint had cooperated with Wan Senshi and other major powers and obtained a lot of resources. Now, as long as the Dharma saint obtained the true God position, he could use his methods to suppress all the Dharma realms and turn the true God position into a part of all the Dharma realms, creating a medium-grade world. Although Gu Chunsha didn't sense the Dharma saint, he knew that he would definitely come. At this time, in the space-time turbulence, inside the Sun-Moon altar, the Dharma saint, Wu Dankong, and Jing Qiu were all observing the changes inside. Any storm in the space-time turbulence was helpless against the Sun-Moon altar. It could be said that the essence of the Sun-Moon altar was much more tyrannical than that of a medium-grade world. As expected of the heavenly sacrificial talisman, the warlock saint exclaimed in admiration, "If this talisman is used properly and exerts its greatest power, it can pass through all forbidden spells. Even a medium-class world or the barrier of a boundless world would not be able to resist the penetration of this talisman. Moreover, this talisman can pass through the space-time turbulence without any danger. It can be said to be invincible. Unfortunately, I can't completely control this talisman." Wu Dankong waved his hand. Otherwise, many sacrificial methods can be used to directly enter the medium-grade world of Jingxian Xi and mince him into pieces. Gu Taxian has already predicted this. Through the crystal wall of the Sun-Moon altar, the Dharma saint could clearly see everything in the depths of the space-time. The ability of the heavenly sacrificial talisman was far more than that. Ji Qingwu of the Heavenly Dance Mystical Sect has also made a move. Jing Qiu said, "Lord Warlock Saint, rumor has it that this woman is not to be underestimated. She has already cultivated to the 35th transformation of the Tao realm, the primordial dust realm. With the flick of a finger, she can turn the land of dust into the primordial universe for a short period of time. The overall strength of the Heavenly Dance mystical sect is not inferior to that of the Tai mystical sect. It used to be ranked second. There are many experts in the sect, and the power of the minor chiliocosm is abundant. If she becomes a true god, I'm afraid she can immediately advance to the 36th transformation. She can also advance the minor chiliocosm of the sect. It's not that easy for a minor chiliocosm to advance to a medium chiliocosm. The Heavenly Dance mystical sect is still a little lacking, Wu Dankong said. Otherwise, I heard that this woman and Gu Taxian have an ambiguous relationship. It's very likely that Gu Taxian has set up some magical effects on this woman. Jing Qiu's thoughts were far more shrewd than Wu Dankong's. This woman is indeed not simple, but it's not that easy to become a true god. The Heavenly Heaven-Earth sect won't allow it. More importantly, those little fellows from the Calm Immortal department haven't made a move yet. The Dharma Saint was still observing the Sun-Moon altar. In the Sun-Moon altar, all fate has been cut off. No one can calculate the movements of the people inside. Lord Dharma Saint, this decree has already been distorted. With the changes of the heavenly Tao, it has produced a series of consequences. Perhaps we can take this opportunity to truly turn this decree into our own treasure. If we can fuse with it, I'm afraid we'll achieve a great achievement that no one has ever achieved before or since, Wu Dankong said. That's right, but I'm afraid it's not the right time yet. The main thing is to see how the game between Gu Taxian and the Heavenly Tao turns out. All in all, this is a huge opportunity, the Dharma Saint said. Another expert has arrived. It's actually the old Azure Dragon from the Heavenly Heaven-Earth sect. A playful smile appeared on the Dharma Saint's face. Dankong used the Son of Heaven's God sealing technique later. At the most critical moment, use the talisman to get close to the true God's throne. Then, I'll use a spell to pull it into the Sun-Moon altar. As long as the throne is pulled into the Sun-Moon altar, the true God's throne will be ours. Even if the three heavenly venerables come together, they won't be able to do anything. They can't do anything to the heavenly sacrificial talisman, so we can easily leave. Lord Dharma Saint, the true God's throne can only be obtained by receiving my heavenly sacrificial talisman. Does that mean I'm the owner of the true God's throne? Wu Dankong was invincible in the Sun-Moon altar. Even the Dharma Saint couldn't hurt him in the Sun-Moon altar. Don't worry, I'm using the true God's throne to activate all the Dharma realms into a medium-class world. Once I succeed, I'll slowly separate the true God's throne and give it to you. Apart from that, I'll also use the world's power to increase your cultivation and help you truly subdue the divine prefecture ominous armor. That way, you'll truly be free from Xing Qiong. Right now, Xing Qiong is licking his wounds and has no time to care about you. This is the best opportunity. If I can cultivate a medium-class world, I can completely help you escape. The divine prefecture ominous armor itself is equivalent to a saint-level expert. Don't you want to completely subdue it and make it your Son of Heaven's armor? Son of Heaven's armor. Wu Dankong's eyes shone brightly. The divine prefecture ominous armor is actually Xing Qiong's eyes and ears. It's used to monitor me. I can't control it at all. If Lord Dharma Saint can help me, I'll refine this armor and make it my life-bound weapon. After wearing it, I'll at least have the strength of a sage. That's right. We're bound together. Divided, we're weak. United, we're strong. The Dharma Saint had already reached an agreement with Wu Dankong. At that moment, a huge claw smashed down on Ji Qingwu from within the damaged God Kingdom. Ji Qingwu used the power of her minor chiliocosm to block the claw's power. Azure Dragon, medium-class world. Ji Qingwu's eyes shone with a fierce light. She threw the deity position away. At the same time, she shrunk her body, concentrated her power, and flashed away. As expected, the huge claw gave up on killing her and grabbed the throne. Chapter 6:13. The giant claw was a dragon claw. The claw was pure azure in color. When the claw appeared, the entire broken god nation was filled with vitality. That was the azure dragon, a sage-level azure dragon. The azure dragon in the celestial tranquility department was far more powerful than the little azure dragon. It was the azure dragon in the depths of the Black Heaven-Earth sect, the leader of the 4 sacred beasts. It had reached the level of free-form transformation. The azure dragon was even more powerful than the leader of the Black Heaven-Earth sect. He had been hiding in the Black Heaven-Earth sect and rarely came out. Now that the true god position had appeared, he had to come and fight for it. He didn't have long to live. He was about to merge with the Tao and become a part of the heavenly law, so he was unwilling to give up. If he could become a true god, his life would be much longer. It would be like starting over again, so he had to get it. The azure dragon had existed since ancient times and had almost as much power as the leader of the Black Heaven-Earth sect. Therefore, he could use the power of the medium-class world. As soon as the power of the medium-class world appeared, everyone was shocked. The power of the azure dragon was even more powerful than that of a normal sage. The true god position was about to fall into the hands of the azure dragon. Suddenly, a beam of light from a weapon appeared silently. It had the power of destruction and rebirth, and it collided with the azure dragon's claw. All the vitality on the azure dragon's claw seemed to be devoured by the light of the weapon. In the end, the light of the weapon expanded and filled the entire broken god nation, turning it into a new world from the inside out. Immortal slaying and god slaying, under the command of the 3 heavenly masters, god slaying. The azure dragon roared and slapped back with his claw. Power surged out again and spread everywhere. When it met the light of the weapon, the two disappeared. Then, the true god position fell between the two. It floated in the air and emitted waves of energy, showing the power of a true god. When the light of the weapon dissipated, a person appeared. It was a young man in a scholar's robe. He was holding a pitch-black axe in his hand. The axe gave off a connate aura. The aura kept circulating, and life and death were in the hands of the axe. The axe was extremely powerful. It was obviously a connate spiritual treasure. What weapon is that? Azure Dragon seemed to be a bit scared. God Slayer, I don't think this connate spirit treasure has ever appeared. Your immortal slaying and god slaying kill is getting more and more powerful. If I didn't have the protection of my medium-sized world, I'm afraid my claws would have been cut off. This axe is called Clear and Turbid. It was recently plucked from the Hong Meng tree. Naturally, you don't know about it. The meaning of this axe is to split the chaos, to separate the clear and turbid heaven and earth. The clear chi rises to the sky, while the turbid chi sinks to the ground. This axe is extremely powerful. After I received Master's reward, I trained hard, and now I can only barely control it. This axe was a magic treasure on the same level as the ancient extrication bow and the impermanence arrow. It could even harm heavenly venerables. Azure Dragon, I advise you to leave as soon as possible. I must obtain this deity position. The young man was called God Slayer. There were many gods under the command of the 3 celestial venerables, such as the dark god who had appeared previously. These gods had extremely high cultivation levels. Some of them were actually sages. Although this god of slaying wasn't as powerful as Azure Dragon, he was able to break Azure Dragon's attack with his connate spirit treasure, the pure turbid axe. Also, God of Slaying had also used the power of the medium-class world. That medium-class world definitely didn't belong to him, but to the 3 celestial venerables. You must have it? Azure Dragon laughed. You're only the 5th god under the 3 celestial venerables. The power of the medium-class world you just used must have been stored in the axe, so it's extremely limited. How many more times can you use it? I'm one of the guardians of the Black Sect of Heaven and Earth, so I can use the power of the Black Sect of Heaven and Earth without any limit. Without the support of the medium-class world, can you still use the pure turbid axe? Is the black sect of heaven and earth going against the three celestial venerables? God of Slaying knew that Azure Dragon was telling the truth. Ha 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 ha. Azure Dragon turned into an old man in an azure robe. The world has changed. The black sect of heaven and earth has been controlled by the three celestial venerables for so many years. Do you still want us to listen to you? God of Slaying, you're dreaming if you want to use the three celestial venerables to suppress me. Anyone who dares to touch this opportunity will die. As he spoke, Azure Dragon reached for the true God's throne again. You're courting death. God of Slaying suddenly threw the axe in his hand. The entire axe shone brightly and shone on the damaged God Nation again. There was a wriggling force in the God Nation. It gathered and quickly repaired the God Nation. Bang bang bang. Inside the God Nation, many treasures exploded and merged with the God Nation itself. The God Nation seemed to have recovered the power of a small kiliacosm. Then, the deity position breathed automatically and cooperated with the God Nation itself. The shadow of the ancient god of Lu appeared on the true god position. It was as if the god of Lu had been resurrected at that moment. You used this method to suppress the God Nation and restore the power of the small kiliacosm, Azure Dragon said. I didn't expect this axe to be so powerful. It seems that the three celestial venerables have found a lot of treasures in the Hongmeng tree. Yes, I will bring out this axe and have it temporarily fuse with this broken divine kingdom. Like this, I can temporarily restore the strength of this divine kingdom. Moreover, with this strength, you will be able to control this dimensional realm, but wanting to quickly break through this divine kingdom will be a bit troublesome. After all, you're not the creator of the medium-class world in the black gate of heaven and earth. You're just a pet of the ancestral patriarch. God of Slaying seemed to have the whole situation under control. Do you think I came unprepared? The ancestral patriarch was the creator of the black gate of heaven and earth. A small kiliacosm is no match for a medium-class world. Azure Dragon narrowed his eyes. Do you think you can take the true God's position with this axe? That's ridiculous. Change of heaven and earth, door swallowing all things. Come out. Boom. Behind him, a huge door appeared. It was none other than the profound gate of heaven and earth, which opened up an ancient vortex that seemed capable of swallowing up the entire God kingdom. You've used up the black gate of heaven and earth's resources. Even if you swallow the God Nation, you'll lose more than you gain. God of Slaying's body was sucked in by Azure Dragon's black gate of heaven and earth. Everything in the God Nation was also sucked in. Only Gu Churnsha was not affected. Even the black gate of heaven and earth might not be able to defeat the ball of people's wish. Both of them were medium-class world. Although the black gate of heaven and earth had a lot of resources, the ball of people's wish had a lot of power. Azure Dragon, are you trying to start a war? Ji Qingwu, the sect master of the Sky Dance Mystical Gate, said, You want to swallow all of us into the black gate of heaven and earth. That's right. All of you must die, Azure Dragon said. God of Slaying, do you think you're the only one who had a fortuitous encounter? The black gate of heaven and earth also had a fortuitous encounter. I was supposed to be cultivating in the black gate of heaven and earth, and I couldn't come out, but I obtained some connate Dao Qi from chaos. It's comparable to your clear turbid axe, so I can use it to activate the black gate of heaven and earth. Let's swallow this divine kingdom. Boom. Azure Dragon turned into his true form and spread out. He occupied the entire small kiliacosm's divine kingdom, forcing the gods of destruction to keep releasing light to resist. Crack. The God Nation cracked. The clear turbid axe was separated. Oh no! At this moment, Longevity God, the Conqueror, Yu Juju and Ji Qingwu were all startled. They knew that Azure Dragon was the leader of the sacred beasts. He also had a fortuitous encounter, which was why he came out and controlled the medium-class world of the Black Gate of heaven and earth. Now, as long as they were in the God Nation, they would all die here. Gods of destruction was no exception. Gods of slaying, I knew you would come. Azure Dragon's giant body breathed in and out. His body had already entangled the entire divine kingdom of the small Kiliacosm. His own power had actually injected new vitality into the divine kingdom. The gods of slaying's God Nation was in danger. Even his clear turbid axe was about to be swallowed by the Black Gate of heaven and earth. Everyone would be killed and swallowed by him. That was the plan Azure Dragon had come for. He also had a backup plan. The sect master of the Black Gate of heaven and earth hadn't shown up yet, so he would definitely come to attack at any time. The Black Gate of heaven and earth might come out in full force to obtain the deity position. A deity position was no small matter. It was worth a big move from the Black Gate of heaven and earth. Gu Chencha's heavenly law kept changing, but he still didn't make a move. He was still waiting for the big shot to show up. If no big shot appeared, the Black Gate of heaven and earth would definitely obtain the true God position. Once they obtained it, both Azure Dragon and the sect master could become true gods and become more powerful. At this moment, suddenly the situation changed again. A giant hand appeared. All the space was sealed. No one could tear the void and come in, but the giant hand appeared out of nowhere. The giant hand was filled with the aura of all laws. It was pure Dharma. Dharma Saint. Azure Dragon was shocked. The Heavenly Sacrifice Talisman. You're hiding in the Heavenly Sacrifice Talisman. The Heavenly Sacrifice Talisman could break through all seals. The Dharma Sage's cultivation level was already higher than Azure Dragon's. Now that he had appeared and coordinated with the heaven-worshipping talisman, it was perfect. The Dharma Saint grabbed the deity position and put it away. The deity position was taken into the sun and moon altar. Then, the heavenly sacrifice talisman disappeared. Azure Dragon roared angrily. He retracted all his power and chased after the Dharma Saint. Dharma Saint, how dare you steal my opportunity? I'll destroy all the Dharma realms now. You can't run away from me. Chapter 6:14. Azure Dragon was indeed enraged. He had made so many arrangements and even had a backup plan. It could be said that the entire Black Heaven Earth sect had turned out in full force and wasted a lot of accumulated energy just to obtain the position of the true god of Lu Xun. Unfortunately, it had been easily taken away by the Warlock Saint. The Dharma Saint had shown his wisdom this time. Even if the Black Heaven Earth sect used the power of a medium-sized world, they wouldn't be able to trap the decree. If the Warlock Saint had personally fought against the Black Sect of Heaven and Earth, even if his cultivation level was higher than Azure Dragon's, the Dharma Saint would definitely not be a match for the Black Sect of Heaven and Earth. He might not even have been able to become a true god. Unfortunately, the Warlock Saint had relied on the power of the Heavenly Sacrifice Talisman and easily seized it without expending any energy. The Black Heaven Earth sect had made such a big move this time to fight against the gods of destruction and to devour the entire god nation. They had wasted at least dozens of years of accumulation. Countless disciples of the Black Heaven Earth sect, as well as the countries they controlled, had been used up just like that. It could be seen that wars were about who had more accumulation. It was similar to a war between countries. Gu Chensha wouldn't start a war easily. Instead, he let the Tree of Desire and the small divine land keep accumulating energy for the world's wish ball, waiting for the war in the future. Actually, the accumulation of the life's wish sphere was also very vigorous. The most important thing was that during the demon race's attack, more than 10 demon race members had activated their minor Kiliacosms, in addition to the billions of demons chanting scriptures, which had accumulated the massive power of the demon disaster for a long time, but during that fierce attack, it had been absorbed by the revolving star passage technique. That meant that the demons had selflessly poured their power into the fairy calming division's ball. That had given the ball thousands of years of accumulation. In addition, Gu Chensha was good at taking things by force and running the small divine land. He could turn himself into heavenly dew and rain. All kinds of cultivators and creatures in the small divine land had been greatly improved. That way, the wish power generated was like a Milky Way waterfall every day. It was completely comparable to the amount of faith produced by the Black Heaven Earth sect every day. The Warlock Saint has some tricks up his sleeve. He joined forces with Wu Dangkong and actually managed to seize the position of true God. When Gu Chensha saw this, a smile appeared on his face. He wasn't discouraged and seemed to have a backup plan. That was because just now, he had activated his heavenly Tao art and created an incarnation, which then merged perfectly with the great seat of the true God. This was his method. Up till now, no one had been able to decipher or discover the heavenly Tao technique. Not even the Dharma saint could do it. Gu Chensha knew that if he brazenly seized the throne of true divinity, he would likely be ambushed by various powers. Although the Calmness Immortal Department was suppressing all sides, a single move would affect the entire situation. He had to be careful in everything he did. It was very likely that this treasure war would turn into an all-out war. In that case, the whole world would fall into turmoil, which would be very disadvantageous to the development of the Calming Immortal Department. Right now, the most important thing was for the world to be stable. The Calming Immortal Department would receive the support of the wishes of the people of the world. Only then would it be able to change with each passing day. If the world was unstable, the Calming Immortal Department would weaken. It wasn't worth it to disturb the world for the great seat of true divinity. Gu Chensha's vision was no longer the same as before. He was always looking at the overall situation. Now that the great seat of true divinity was obtained by the Dharma Saint, he could let the Black Heaven Earth sect and the Dharma Saint fight to the death, and the Calming Immortal Department would reap the benefit. Moreover, even if the Dharma Saint temporarily obtained the great seat of true divinity with the help of the heavenly sacrifice decree, he might not be able to protect it. Dharma Saint, you want to refine this great seat of true divinity? How could it be so simple to combine all your Dharma realms into a medium-class world? When a minor kiliacosm ascends to a medium-class world, the calamity will be unimaginable. I will use my heavenly Tao art to infiltrate this great seat of true divinity and merge with it. As long as you refine this treasure, not only will it strengthen me, but when the calamity arrives, I will take advantage of the advancement of all your Dharma realms and absorb your strength. This is like a dove taking over a magpie's nest. Even if this fails, I will only lose a small incarnation. It can be said to be a very profitable method. At this time, Gu Chensha and the Dharma Saint once again began their battle of wits and courage. Every time he wrestled with these great figures, he would gain a lot of experience. In fact, his main purpose this time was to gain the experience of the Dharma Saint's resistance to the heavenly Tao's call during the Dharma Saint's refining process. This experience was something that Gu Chensha had plotted for a long time. Thinking about it, only the Dharma Saint resurrected among the sages of the ancient era, while the rest fell into oblivion. From this, it could be seen that the Dharma Saint had his own uniqueness. This unique experience and insight was what Gu Chensha wanted. If he could obtain this kind of knowledge and experience, Gu Chensha's cultivation would rise by a realm. The Dharma Saint actually took action and seized the great seat of true divinity, damn it. Longevity God's face was very ugly, but he had no choice. This was a crushing suppression of strength. Even the Black Heaven Earth Gate couldn't do anything about it, let alone him. He knew that this time, the Dharma Saint seized the great seat of true divinity with the power of the heavenly sacrifice decree. Even if Wan Senshi came, the result would be the same. Wan Senshi couldn't crack the heavenly sacrifice decree either. However, taking advantage of this opportunity, he tore space and escaped. This time, he had gained a lot. He obtained the cultivation method of Lu God. Even if he didn't obtain the great seat of true divinity, after returning, he could try to break through to the sage realm after mastering the 3 great divine arts. Of course, he might not succeed, but even if he didn't succeed, his combat strength would still improve a lot. Taoist calming chaos also left a long time ago. He had a look of regret on his face, but he had no choice. This time, the powerhouses competing for the great seat of true divinity were too strong. If he stayed here, he would most likely be buried here. Heavenly Dance Mystical Gates Sect Master Ji Qingwu also flew up and left. Only the Mountain Mystical Gates Yu character was left here, seemingly greeting the God of Destruction. Lord God of Destruction, send my regards to the 3 heavenly venerables. The Yu character said, my Mountain Mystical Gate has always followed the lead of the 3 heavenly venerables. Very well, since you have this intention, I will definitely cultivate you in the future. The God of Destruction held the clear and turbid axe in his hand and spoke to the Yu character as if he was ordering a subordinate. The Mountain Mystical Gate is really too useless. Fortunately, they were able to stand on the right side. It seems that in the great calamity, the orthodoxy can survive. Instead of learning from the 9 Swords Mystical Gate, the Red Cloud Mystical Gate, they actually sided with Wan Senshi and betrayed the glory of our heavenly venerables. Even if the calming immortal department let them go, we will not let them go. While speaking, the God of Destruction waved the clear and turbid axe in his hand. Immediately, the axe cut the divine kingdom in half, then squirmed like a whale sucking in water. Suddenly, the divine kingdom was completely absorbed by the clear and turbid axe. After absorbing the divine kingdom, the color of the clear and turbid axe seemed to become more vivid. The God of Destruction nodded, very satisfied. Dharma Saint is bold, to actually seize the position of true God. Does he think that after this rebirth, he can compete with the 3 heavenly venerables? The Yu character nodded. The 3 heavenly venerables have been invincible since ancient times until now. Anyone who goes against them is just a clown. I like hearing this. You go back first, I will pay a visit to the Mountain Mystical Gate. The God of Destruction waved his hand and used the clear and turbid axe to cut open a path and left. The Yu character sighed. Our Mountain Mystical Gate orthodoxy is struggling to hold on, but it is still withering. Are we going to be completely destroyed like this? I am not willing. While speaking, he also left. At this time, Longevity God had already retracted his true body, still Hong Wulu, and Gu Churnsha also gathered all his mana, condensing it into Ghost Weep. Brother Weep, looks like we won't have a chance this time. Let's go, Longevity God said. Let's go somewhere else and look for opportunities. Alright. Gu Churnsha still wanted to find out more about Longevity God's movements, so the two left together. At this time, Dharma Saint had already returned to his all-Dharma realm. All Dharma realms were in the depths of the space-time turbulence. From afar, it looked like a Dharma ring. This huge Dharma ring controlled all Dharma in the world. But now, a door appeared around the huge Dharma ring, and above the door, Azure Dragon showed his true body. His body that was thousands of miles long stared at all the Dharma rings. Dharma Saint, hand over the position of true God. Azure Dragon was enraged. How dare you legalism go against the Black Heaven Earth sect? Azure Dragon, I think you're the bolder one. Inside the Dharma cutting ring was the all-Dharma realms, and Dharma Saint's mind wave came from it. Although the Black Heaven Earth sect has cultivated a medium-class world, you don't have a heavenly master, and I'm a heavenly master now. As long as I become a medium-class world, the Black Heaven Earth sect basically has no chance. Dharma Saint, do you think it's easy to become a medium-class world? Azure Dragon roared. Even if you get the position of true God, you still don't have enough savings. Do you think you can learn from those little bastards from the Calming Deity Bureau? I can tell you that the opportunities of those juniors can't be replicated. They obtained the world-burying coffin. Coupled with the demon disaster, the Big Dipper, and the infusion of power from countless demons, they were finally able to transform. Furthermore, they had accumulated a huge amount of power. Even a warlock saint doesn't have this. Even if you advanced to a medium-class world, you would have consumed all your savings. By then, the medium-class world will be empty and won't be able to exert any power. What's the point? If that's the case, Azure Dragon, try it. I have my ways. Do you think there are so many fortuitous encounters in the world these days? Don't the legalists have any fortuitous encounters? Dharma Saint's voice was heard. The Black Heaven Earth sect can attack all you want. It'll be absorbed by all the Dharma realms. If you don't believe me, you can try. Azure Dragon hesitated for a moment. Meanwhile, in all the Dharma realms, Dharma Saint grabbed the position of true God and flew out, wrapping his Dharma power around it. At the same time, Wu Dankong was still hiding in the Sun-Moon altar. She didn't dare to come out, and she was also very wary of Dharma Saint. Master Dharma Saint, what should we do if the Black Heaven Earth sect attacks now? Can all the Dharma realms really absorb the power of the Black Heaven Earth sect? Wu Dankong asked. Of course not. Dharma Saint said, I'm just bluffing. The Calming Deity Bureau was able to absorb the power this time because they captured a martial emperor and obtained the talisman formed by the will of the Dragon Gate of the primitive universe. They also communicated with the world burial coffin. That's why we were able to absorb such a great opportunity. But your heaven sacrifice talisman can absorb a lot of power and convert it, so there's nothing to be afraid of. Chapter 6:15. Even the Heavenly Sacrifice Talisman? Wu Dankong asked. Of course. The Heavenly Sacrifice Talisman is on the same level as the primitive dragon sect. It's just that your level is too low, so you can't use it. But with my help, you can absorb all the energy. The Dharma Saint said, think about it. The Jingxian department has only obtained a talisman formed by the will of the primitive dragon sect. What you have is the same Dharma treasure as the primitive dragon sect. If it can kill you easily, how can it be called the mandate of heaven? As he spoke, the Dharma Saint sent out his soul energy again. Azure Dragon, think about it carefully. I don't want to go against the Black Heaven Earth sect. There's no need for us to fight to the death and let the Jingxian department take advantage of us, right? Besides, the Black Heaven Earth sect should know. I worked with Wu Dankong and used the Heavenly Sacrifice Talisman to break through the blockade. Now, I can use this talisman to deal with your attack. Do you think the dimensional world of the Black Heaven Earth sect is comparable to the Heavenly Sacrifice Talisman? The Dharma Saint's soul energy made Azure Dragon hesitate again. Azure Dragon knew how magical the Heavenly Sacrifice Talisman was. He was afraid of wasting the Black Heaven Earth sect's resources. Not only would it be ineffective, but it would also benefit the enemy. Azure Dragon, how about we settle this? I owe the Black Heaven Earth sect a favor. When the deity position appears, I'll help you fight for it. What do you think? The Dharma Saint continued. He was stalling for time. While calming Azure Dragon down, he started to refine the true God position. The true God position guarantees eternal life. The Dharma Saint couldn't care less about the Black Heaven Earth sect. He started to refine the treasure. His Dharma power and all the energy from the dimensional world of the Dharma realm went into it. The true God position immediately started to spin. Countless rays of light shot out in all directions and filled the entire Dharma realm. Willpower, subdue. The Warlock Saint's entire body turned into scriptures and began to wrap around this true God position. He was using his own Tao and his own comprehension to refine the mark of the heavenly way and some things left behind by the God of Lu in the true God position. The seat of a true God was no small matter. Moreover, this seat did not belong to him. It would not be easy to refine and fuse with it. Even the Dharma saint himself had to bring out all of his willpower to fight against the heavenly Tao imprint. This was equivalent to the imperial court conferring the title of governor on another person. If you wanted to seize the position of governor and make it your official position, it would require a lot of effort. The Dharma saint was currently in such a state. He kept fusing his true essence and willpower into the true God throne. At the same time, Gu Chernsha, who was with Longevity God, felt a chill run down his spine, because he felt a large number of memories rushing into his mind. It was the Dharma saint's cultivation experience. How exactly did the Dharma saint break free from the shackles of the heavenly Tao and come back to life? All these things appeared in Gu Chensha's mind. Not only that, the Dharma saint's enlightenment experience, as well as all the magical techniques and secret arts of legalism, all flowed into Gu Chensha's mind. At this time, Gu Chernsha was shocked by the huge amount of memories and information. He couldn't help but stare blankly. If it were any other expert, as long as they were not at the God realm, they would have been shattered by the impact of these memories. However, Gu Chernsha had experienced this kind of experience many times. This time, he was only slightly stunned. Even the Dharma saint fell into his trap. So that's how it is, that's how it is. Gu Chernsha roared in his heart, wishing he could look up to the sky and roar. The Dharma saint is indeed the king of saints. He can actually comprehend this truth. It's really terrifying. He actually has so many secrets in his heart. This enemy is extremely difficult to deal with. Even if we can refine the dimensional world and suppress him, I'm afraid that as his cultivation recovers, he will inevitably achieve great things. A huge amount of knowledge and all kinds of experiences were transmitted into Gu Chensha's will. In this way, Gu Chensha's knowledge was completely perfected. His body communicated with the tree of desire. With a slight turn, the memories and experiences were also transmitted into the sphere of the dimensional world. On the tree of desire, the god of desire immediately digested these memories. Rumble! The entire tree of wishes expanded, and the god of wishes changed again. Layers of halos appeared behind his head, and within the halos, many fairies were born. These fairies were similar to the fairies of the celestial spirit realm. After they were born, they flew, wandered, and chanted scriptures. It was actually the Great People's Salvation Scripture, created by Gu Chensha. Now, Gu Chensha's knowledge was many times broader than before. Under his comprehension, the Great People's Salvation Scripture had been modified many times. By now it was almost perfect. Not only did this scripture contain many mysteries, but it could also adjust the body and mind, resist demons, and cleanse one's body. Gu Chensha combined some of the secrets of the dragon nurturing mantra, dragon making mantra, and holy dragon mantra, and combined all the divine skills he had learned into one. Good. The Dharma saint's memories, the Dharma saint's comprehension, and the secret of the Dharma saint's rebirth. These things are simply treasures. They are even more wonderful than the throne of a true God. This time, the Dharma saint has been tricked again. Even if he has obtained the throne of a true God, if we know all of his secrets, it's the same as exposing himself in front of us. With the Dharma saint's memories, comprehending God realm is as simple as eating and drinking. Zhugaya, who was comprehending in the common people's wish ball, suddenly opened his eyes and absorbed all the memories. Then, his body suddenly turned into a giant furnace. This furnace had 8 corners, 8 trigrams, 9 palaces, and 24 solar terms all within. All the knowledge was being brewed in the furnace, and in the end, like boiling water, the essence was revealed. In the depths of the furnace, a brand new Zhugaya was born. After that brand new Zhugaya was born, world energy surged in his body. The furnace turned into a small world that entered Zhugaya's body. Things were just so simple. Zhugaya broke through just like that. He reached Tao Realm Transformation 30 and created a world. At this moment, he had become a God Realm expert. A deity rank expert had been born. The Calmness Immortal Bureau had finally produced its first deity rank expert. As the Lord of the 7 Stars and the 9th tier of the true dragon art, Zhuge Ye's deity rank was much greater than the 13 deities of the school of legalism. If one had to calculate, he was at least 20 God Realm experts working together, or even stronger. This time, after Gu Qinsha used tricks to obtain the memories and theories of the Dharma Saint, it helped Zhuge Ye's cultivation a lot. This was because Zhuge Ye's cultivation was similar to the Dharma Saint's. They were both famous for their peak soul power quality. Apart from that, both of them were at True Dragon Technique Stage 9. The Dharma Saint's comprehension was the same as giving Zhuge Ye a clear path. Now, the Warlock Saint's cultivation was already above that of the ancient Lord of 7 Stars, Jiang Gongwang. He had also taken a different path. He had broken free from the shackles of the heavenly Tao and resurrected. Now, what had he comprehended from his resurrection experience? Under the scrutiny of Gu Chensha's heavenly Tao, there were no secrets. After Zhuge Ye obtained all the experience and comprehended himself, he would immediately become a god. Furthermore, his future would be limitless. It was even possible that he would break through the 36 transformations and become a celestial venerable, just like the Warlock Saint. Pili Pala. The moment that Zhuge Ye became a divinity, the void split open. Endless light and thunder fell down, accompanied by a tearing strength. Even the dimensional realm couldn't stop this. This was a predestined event. Heaven tribulation. When Zhuge Ye reached God realm, he was far too heaven-defying. He had triggered the balance of the heaven Tao, so the heaven Tao naturally sent down a tribulation to destroy him. In truth, many people would encounter a tribulation when they reached God realm. But this time, the tribulation had broken through the dimensional realm's blockade. From this, it could be seen how great this tribulation was. Can this tribulation do anything to me? Have a taste of my methods. Zhuge Ye opened his mouth wide and sucked in all the light, lightning, and space-tearing power into his stomach. He then calmed down and did not suffer any harm. The heavenly Tao has indeed become much weaker. In the past, the power of this tribulation would have been difficult to deal with. But now, the power of the heavenly Tao seems to have been reduced by half. Does this mean that the Emperor has the upper hand in the battle against the heavenly Tao? Zhuge Ye had gained enlightenment from the heaven Tao's tribulation. He resolved the tribulation and stimulated his own strength to refine the wish tree once more. The interior of the dimensional realm suddenly became lively. With a god-level master managing it, the power that this dimensional realm displayed was increased by nearly 30%. The moment Zhuge Ye reached God realm, Gu Qinsha sensed it. He was delighted. Good, very good. Zhuge Ye has actually reached God realm. Now, our calming celestial department finally has a trump card. My realm is a little low, but it doesn't matter. I can break through at any time. His cultivation was still at the 24 Tao realm transformation, future peaking. But after obtaining the Dharma Saint's memories, he wasn't in a rush to break through. Instead, he started to comprehend the true meaning of the 25 undying bodies. Apart from that, he also had to comprehend divergent. The Dharma Saint himself had broken free from the Heaven Tao's restraints and became another type of divergent. His experience and various methods to resist the Heaven Tao's summons helped Gu Qinsha in comprehending divergent. It was no less than the heaven-defying divergent pill. If it was any other cultivator, they would have already comprehended the path of deviance with their experience. Unfortunately, Gu Chensha's cultivation base was the heavenly Tao. It was unimaginably difficult to comprehend the path of deviance with his current cultivation base. However, if he succeeded in comprehending the path of deviance, it was very likely that he would surpass Xing Qiongshi, the king of deviance, and reach a whole new level. Chapter 6:16. I seem to have comprehended something. Gu Chencha's ghost cry's body flashed and his cultivation went from Tao Realm 9 transformation glass jade body to Tao Realm 10 transformation 1 heart. Amazing brother Cry, you really had a fortuitous encounter. Longevity God thought that he had seen through Gu Chencha. At the same time, after such a long conversation, he knew that Ghost Cry was a talent and wanted to recruit him. Gu Chencha, on the other hand, wanted to obtain the Tao orthodoxy of fortune and longevity from the longevity god, and from there, he would understand the profundities of fortune, longevity, and fortune. Now that he had obtained all the mysteries of the warlock saint, his comprehension of his cultivation was even more profound. He could undergo a huge transformation at any time, so he was not in a hurry. He could slowly deal with the god of longevity and learn the secrets of the immortal teacher Wan. Zhuge Ye had reached God Realm and many of Calming Celestial Department's plans could be slowly activated. In a sect, the difference between having a God Realm and not being God Realm was simply too great. With God Realm, one could use their dust world to absorb the worship and faith power of the sect. Brother Wu Lu, what should we do now? Gu Chencha asked. We didn't find anything during our exploration of Rich Mountain. It seems like we aren't fated with this place. Let's head down and search for something else. We can only travel the world and see our luck. Let's head to the old capital city to take a look. Longevity God said. Old capital city? Will there be any treasures appearing there? Gu Chencha asked. Right, the old capital city is where the true king energy is gathered. Xin province is Yin and the old capital city is Yang. Between Yin and Yang, the entire God province is a place where Taiji is. If one were to talk about the biggest fortuitous encounters in the world, it would be in the old capital city. Longevity God said. That's true. Gu Chencha nodded his head. Actually, there were many fortuitous encounters all over the world, causing numerous people to appear. Many experts who didn't appear in the world also came to the central divine continent. Not to mention anything else, security was a problem. Fights broke out in almost every province. They were fights between cultivators to seize treasures. Killing and plundering had become a common occurrence. This made the imperial court very unhappy, and the local officials were under great pressure to maintain public order. The good thing was that the common people's Grand Marshal was currently suppressing the various provinces. Together with the many disciples of the Common People's Hope Academy, as well as the power of the dimensional realm behind him, many experts didn't dare to act recklessly. For example, this time, even the Black Heaven Earth Gate and the Dharma Saint only dared to fight in the spacetime turbulence. If it affected Jiangzhou, the Calming Fairy Department would come out to suppress it. The Black Heaven Earth sect was also extremely wary of the Department of Tranquility. After all, the Tranquil Immortal Department currently had 16 saints. Every other day, their strength would improve by leaps and bounds. This kind of speed was not something that any sect or faction could compare to. Gu Chencha was also relieved of all the problems in the world. Long Zifei, Lu Huayue, and Lu Yu were all born with innate saint aptitudes. These 7 innate saint aptitudes were sufficient for them to operate the imperial court under complicated circumstances. One had to know that a genius could rule an entire country and a top genius could become a wise ruler. In ancient times, as long as one obtained the heaven worship decree, one could become a son of heaven, much less 7 with innate saint aptitude. Although the world was in chaos and it was getting more and more intense, this was a huge chance for the bunch of young people from the Department of Tranquility to train their skills. Since Brother Ichio agrees, then let's head to the old capital city. Longevity God said, the old capital city is tens of thousands of miles away. Luckily we can fly. Brother Ichio has cultivated the Tao Realm 10 transformations, 1,000 uses at 1 heart, and his strength is really strong. He can better control the Xiantian astral energy, so it is much easier to fly. Mental energy is the key to controlling the Xiantian astral energy. I comprehended the 10 transformations, 1,000 uses at one heart, and I can use it freely. Gu Chensha said this on purpose. A thread of Xiantian astral energy appeared and wrapped around his body. It formed a spiral, and he floated into the air. What a flying technique! A weird expression appeared in Longevity God's eyes. You really are a talent. Entering 5 Ghost Sect was a waste of talent. While they spoke, Longevity God also flew into the air. Brother Ichio's tone makes you sound like someone important, Gu Chensha said on purpose. Ah! Longevity God was shocked and laughed out loud. Brother Ichio, look at the world now. The Department of Tranquility is like an iron bucket. Even if the world is filled with fortuitous encounters and many cultivators are fighting to snatch treasures, they don't dare to do so openly. The two of them flew in the air and observed many states and places. Gu Chensha wanted to see how Longevity God ruled the country. Longevity God Jin Suebwa had studied him before. His evaluation was that this god was extremely cunning and had extraordinary methods. Moreover, he was very outstanding in managing his own sect. He was able to develop and expand in a short period of time, and he was even able to establish relationships with many profound sections. He was able to skillfully navigate the complicated immortal Tao, thus establishing a huge foundation. Zhuge Ye evaluated this person as a mini the Great Spirit God, which was worthy of Gu Chensha's observation. The talents of the Department of Tranquility are enough. Just look at Lu Huayue, Long Zifei, and the 5 reincarnations of the 5 seasons gods. They have all become innate saints. They are good cards. Longevity God said. This good card is played well in the hands of the Department of Tranquility, but in my opinion, there are still some unsatisfactory areas. I'd like to hear the details. Gu Chensha said. When I was in 5 Ghost Sect, I persuaded the sect master to temporarily endure and not fight against the imperial court. He should live in seclusion in the mountains and develop. Unfortunately, the sect master was bewitched and wanted to fight against Heavenly Talisman Great Emperor, which led to his death. When he recalled this, he became depressed and immersed in the past, which made Longevity God believe that he was ghost weep even more. The Department of Tranquility is too unyielding and made enemies all over the world. If it were me, I wouldn't offend all the aristocratic families. Instead, I would divide them, rope them in, and divide them. The aristocratic families are not united. As long as we suppress them a little, we can eliminate the threat. Longevity God said. Of course, the Department of Tranquility also has its own purpose. It is to let everyone in the world understand that the Department of Tranquility has already grasped great power. It is more convenient to gather the hearts of the people, and it is more convenient for them to gather the people's hearts. Once they are obstructed, they will fall into a disadvantageous position. The general trend of the world, since ancient times, has never been like this. It can be said that a bow is like a full moon, a heavy force is easy to break. The great cause of 1,000 years is about good fortune and slow calculation. When you can compromise, you have to compromise. The reason why the 3 heavenly venerables were able to dominate the supreme ancient era for tens of thousands of years is not because of their strength, but because of their patience. Brother Wu Lu is thought-provoking. Gu Chensha nodded. But deep in his heart, he felt that Longevity God's plan was for him, while the Department of Tranquility was for the people of the world. While flying, Gu Chensha discussed the general trend of the world with Longevity God, as well as the movements of the various sections. Sure enough, Longevity God knew almost everything in the world. The people, the aristocratic families, the bureaucracy, and even the cultivators of the immortal Tao. All kinds of plans were in his research. In particular, His research on the various matters of the common people was extremely profound. He even knew farming season, farming, mechanisms, and governance like the back of his hand, pushing through layers to bring forth new ones. Jean Suebwa himself was a genius. In the immortal Tao, he was known as the sage. Gu Chensha relied on him to do many things. The tax collection in the immortal Tao was all thanks to him. Now that the Department of Tranquility had such a situation, he had at least 20% of the credit. But after this discussion, Gu Chensha realized that Longevity God's ability was far above Jean Suebwa's. He couldn't help but have thoughts of subduing this Longevity God to become his helper in managing the small God province. But he also knew that this God would be extremely difficult to subdue. One must know that Longevity God was at the peak of the Tao realm's 32 transformations, 1 year through heaven. Moreover, he had merged the 3 God orthodoxies and was about to break through the 33 transformations, truth saint heart, to become a saint. Although Longevity God was limited by his talent, it was difficult to break through. But with the changes of the heavenly Tao, the restrictions were not as strong. Even the heavenly tribulation and heavenly punishment were only half as strong as before. This way, Longevity God might really be able to break through the limit of talent and become a saint. How could such a person be easily subdued? Moreover, Zhuge Ye said that this person was the Great Spirit God. Even if he was temporarily subdued, he would be nurturing a tiger that would invite calamity. In the future, he would definitely rebel. Such a person could not be subdued. Gu Chensha's heart repeatedly made this judgment, and killing intent rose in him. This God was an expert at stirring up chaos in the world. Moreover, Gu Chensha could see that this God's luck was boundless and that he would have huge fortuitous encounters in the future. Perhaps, in the future, this God would be a crucial figure. Perhaps, this trip to the old capital city would allow him to obtain a treasure that was even stronger than the true God throne. Gu Chensha was calculating Longevity God's background, and Longevity God was also observing Gu Chensha. Along the way, Longevity God noticed that Gu Chensha's insights were exquisite, especially in the Tao of operation. At this moment, Longevity God already wanted to take Gu Chensha under his command, but he didn't do anything for now. Firstly, he wanted to obtain fortuitous encounters, and secondly, he wanted to see what other fortuitous encounters this ghost cry had. At this moment, Longevity God had already fused the 3 great orthodoxies, and he could already see some things. In his opinion, this ghost weep had great fortune, and he was afraid that he would have many fortuitous encounters. Thus, he wanted to take this fortuitous encounter into his pocket. Chapter 6:17. Gu Chensha and Longevity God each had their own ulterior motives, but they admired one another. Luckily, Gu Chensha understood Longevity God's personality, cultivation, and all sorts of secret. Longevity God couldn't see through Gu Chensha's heaven path techniques cultivation at all. Let's put it this way. Even if Longevity God was told that this ghost cry was Gu Chensha's transformation, he wouldn't be able to find any flaws even if he used all his skills. The heaven path gave birth to all things. It wasn't fake, it was real. Gu Chensha's transformation would never change. He was real, so how could others see through his disguise? For example, he could turn stone into gold and turn stone into gold. Then, it would become real gold and it wouldn't change. It wouldn't change back to its original form as time passed. This was the terrifying part of the heaven path technique. If the heaven path said that you were real, then you were real. If it said that you were fake, then you were fake. The two of them flew in the air and stopped occasionally. They spent 3 days and 3 nights passing dozens of provinces before arriving at the old capital city. Based on the flying speed of Tao Realm 9 transformations and 10 transformations, that was about the same speed. This was because at such a realm, There was a limit to Xiantian earth energy, and one couldn't fly for a long time. After flying a few thousand miles, one had to stop to breathe. Only when one reached the great Tao realm golden core would one be able to compress Xiantian earth energy and turn it into higher quality core energy. The moment the golden core appeared, the speed at which spiritual energy was absorbed would greatly increase. The two of them slowly landed near the Frost Jade Mountain outside of the old capital city. Cold Jade Mountain stretched for hundreds of miles and was filled with beautiful scenery. There were many deep pools and waterfalls. In the depths of the mountain, there was a 10,000-year cold jade mine that flowed out slowly. This cold spring water was clean and nourishing. It was filled with thick spiritual energy and also had the essence of cold jade. It was used by the royal family. When Gu Chernsha was young, he could see many carts carrying water going in and out of the palace gate every day. Originally, he was given a portion of the cold spring water every day, but every time, the eunuchs would steal it and sell it. Instead, he was given normal water. Recalling the events of that time, Gu Chernsha felt quite interested. At that time, he had endured silently and secretly studied and practiced martial arts, cultivating a tenacious and indomitable character. If not for the foundation he had laid down when he was young, he probably wouldn't have been able to develop so quickly after obtaining the heavenly talisman in the 14th year. The spirit qi around Frost Jade Mountain is abundant, so there are fewer impurities. Let's rest here for a while. Gu Chernsha landed at the edge and found a clean spot. He sat down cross-legged and prepared to accumulate the innate gang qi in his body again. His acting skills were superb, and these days, he had completely bewitched Longevity God. This was also a type of cultivation, comparing the details with Longevity God, allowing one's comprehension of the heavenly Tao to become more profound. In these 3 days, Gu Chernsha thoroughly understood all the memories and insights of the Dharma saint. There was no longer any fog in his mind. As soon as he sat down, he suddenly felt that he had some kind of mysterious connection with the old capital. The divine great land was inseparable from him. With this place as the center, all the dimensions were derived. As for the great massacre divine art, his comprehension deepened by another level. At this time, he unknowingly broke through to the undying body of the 25th transformation of the Tao realm. The moment he comprehended and broke through, the common people's marshals who were patrolling all over the central divine continent, the 99 states, and even many cities in the wilderness immediately sensed it. These common people's marshals also broke through. As light flashed, the huge power in their bodies transformed, merging with the tree of wishes. Power tore through the air, and they all reached the undying body of the 25th transformation. What kind of concept was the undying body of the 25th transformation? Back then, the ape race's leader, Ape Huang, was also of the Vajra art quality. With his cultivation at the 25th transformation, he led the ape race and was all-powerful among the demon race. And now, the common people's marshal was at the 5th level of the true dragon art. He also had an undying body. If one common people's marshal fought, 4 or 5 ape Huang wouldn't be his match. In other words, 360 common people's marshals were equivalent to more than 1,000 ape race leaders. Such a huge force could be said to be heaven-defying. More importantly, the common people's marshal's essence was the emperor's heavenly weapon and the Jade Mountain that suppressed the Xing Qiong clan. It was practically indestructible. After being baptized by Gu Chernsha's heavenly Tao technique, the common people's marshal's combat methods were endless, and he could even use the divine continent grand technique. The 360 common people's marshals had become undying body experts, and their ability to suppress the world had increased by a lot. The common people's marshal was already connected to Gu Chernsha, and was equivalent to his life puppet. As long as Gu Chernsha increased his cultivation, these common people's marshals could also increase their strength. That's right, we can't get too close to the Ice Jade Mountain. Longevity God pointed into the distance. Although the imperial court moved the capital to outside the pass, there are still a large number of people coming to fetch water every day, and they use flying boats to transport it to the capital outside the pass. This place is sealed by the army, and there are experts guarding it. The commander of the army here is a disciple of the Yu clan, called Yuhuan Lu. She is the cousin of the current Tranquil Immortal Department's Yuhan Lu, a member of the Yu clan of the Yu clan. She was taught the dragon-raising technique and dragon-making technique, and has already raised her aptitude to the peak of genius. She might have also stepped into the realm of peerless geniuses. Her cultivation is probably at the 14 transformations, and her primordial spirit has left her body. If we are discovered, it will be troublesome. Gu Qinsha said, "It's the Ice Jade Mountain's water, which is the best in the world. It can be used to refine pills, concoct medicine, brew wine, and drink it. There are even more secrets in the depths of the 10,000-year-old Ice Jade Oregon. There might be fortuitous encounters here, and I feel that the fortune here is much denser than that Jiang Province's Fugui Mountain." This 100-mile Ice Jade Mountain had been guarded by the army in the first year of Heavenly Talisman era, ensuring the palace's water supply. After the capital was moved, not only did this place not become deserted, but it was guarded even more intensely. Calmness Immortal Department then firmly grasped this Ice Jade spring in their hands. Through the Merchant Association, they sold this spring water to the common people, earning a lot of money to replenish the national treasury. When Wu Dangkong was supervising the country, he had always wanted to excavate this Ice Jade spring and wantonly destroy it, but Calmness Immortal Department stopped him. Now, the guard here was indeed called Yuhuan Lu, a member of the Yu clan, and also a member of Calmness Immortal Department. Gu Qinsha had never seen this woman before, but Lu Baiwei and the fourth had met her before, so she should be a reliable person. However, Longevity Immortal God even knew about this, showing how deep his intelligence research was. He had long had the intention to target Calmness Immortal Department. Brother Iku, these days, your demonic path techniques have gradually faded, and your immortal path cultivation has become more profound. You can actually vaguely sense the existence of fortune? Longevity Immortal God asked. Recently, I've gained a lot of insights, mainly from Brother Wulu's conversation. Brother Wulu's understanding of fortune and fate is far above mine. Gu Qinsha said, "After resting, we're full of energy and astral qi. Why don't we explore this Ice Jade Mountain? I once obtained a hidden treasure that can avoid being discovered. Rumor has it that this Ice Jade Mountain belonged to an Immortal Path sect, the Imperial Jade sect. Because they resisted Yonko, they were destroyed by Heavenly Talisman Great Emperor. Later, Heavenly Talisman Great Emperor used some magical techniques to reforge this Ice Jade Mountain, leaving behind many ancient ruins and treasures. There might even be Heavenly Talisman Great Emperor's treasures. If we can obtain them, I'm afraid we can immediately move unhindered under the heavens and become invincible. How could it be so simple?" Longevity Immortal God laughed involuntarily. Suddenly, a figure appeared behind him. Ordinary cultivators wouldn't be able to see this figure, but Gu Qinsha did. This god really has some thoughts about this Ice Jade Mountain. Gu Qinsha knew that this was one of Longevity Immortal God's magical techniques, called the Three Lights Observation Technique. It could see through fortune, longevity, and fortune. In the future, all kinds of paths to riches and honor. Longevity Immortal God thought that Gu Qinsha couldn't see it, but he didn't know that Gu Qinsha had secretly learned some of his technique. If they stayed together for another 10 days or half a month, some of Longevity Immortal God's secret techniques wouldn't be able to escape Gu Qinsha's prying eyes. Thinking about it, even the Dharma Saint fell into Gu Qinsha's trap and had his memory and essence peeped, let alone Longevity Immortal God. Longevity Immortal God looked at it for a long time and nodded inwardly, thinking, "This place is indeed full of good fortune and can't be underestimated. It's much richer than the Riches and Honor Mountain. I'm afraid in the coming days, there will be a major fortuitous encounter, even surpassing the true God realm. If I hadn't obtained the Lucian orthodoxy and fused the three fates into one, I'm afraid I wouldn't have the ability to see through this kind of good fortune. If I wait here quietly, maybe I can get a chance and become a saint in one fell swoop. Right now, the heavenly Tao's restraint is only half of what it used to be. I need to seize this opportunity to advance, lest the heavenly Tao is restored in the future and the order is strengthened, then there will be no hope." God realm experts could feel the loosening of the heavenly Tao's rules. While the two were observing the movements of the cold jade mountain, night gradually fell. Suddenly, a faint light flickered in the depths of the cold jade mountain. "Seems like a treasure has appeared?" The two immediately flew into the sky and looked again. In the inner mountain of the cold jade mountain, there were 9 great cold ponds. The water of the cold ponds was jade green all year round. In the depths of the cold ponds, spring water kept surging up. No one knew how deep the cold ponds were. Even on a hot day, cold air would come out. If the birds in the sky were too close to the cold ponds, they would freeze and fall. In the depths of the cold ponds, one could see the huge, profound, ice-cold jade. It was deep and strange, as if it led to another world. The deeper one went into the cold ponds, the colder it got. The cold air could exceed the limit. Rumor had it that many years ago there were gold core experts who went down to explore, but they were all frozen and disappeared without a trace. The spring water that flowed out of the cold ponds was crystal clear. After boiling, it looked like pearls jumping around, emitting a cold fragrance. Chapter 6:18. Yuan Lu looked at the cold pond in the mountain. The stars in the sky were densely packed and reflected in the cold pond. It was as if there was another world of stars within the cold pond. Now that the divine land is in chaos, numerous people can obtain fortuitous encounters. I have been guarding here and I haven't seen any fortuitous encounters, but Mr. Zhuge said that there would definitely be a fortuitous encounter in Cold Jade Mountain. He told me to guard here and not let down my guard. What secrets does this Cold Jade Mountain have? Yu Huanlu activated her primordial spirit and carefully observed. Her primordial spirit floated above her head, as if she was observing something. This primordial spirit was golden in color, and faint dragon roars and tiger roars could be heard. This was the primordial spirit that she cultivated through the dragon cultivation technique and dragon creation technique. It was many times stronger than an ordinary cultivator's primordial spirit. Moreover, the attack power of her soul was terrifying and it was extremely strong. At this moment it could even move a small mountain. She had cultivated to the 14th transformation of Tao realm, soul projection. At this realm, the soul would form a physical body and mental energy would be able to interfere with matter. Mental energy would form soul power, which was much more mystical than Xiantian earth energy. She was from a branch family of the Yu family. Although she was considered a noble in Baoyu country, she had fallen. But after Cold Jade Du joined Calming Celestial Agency, she benefited from it. During this period of time, she completed many tests and slowly gained merit. The wish power from her daily prayers was also really pure, so she was promoted. She was actually taught dragon raising heart technique and dragon making heart technique. Just like that, Yu Huanlu's cultivation increased greatly. She was naturally loyal to Calming Celestial Agency and the Imperial Court. Under her management, the cold jade spring water was transported to various places to be exchanged for various treasures. It was used to nurture talents and replenish the treasury. Now, the cold jade spring water's reputation and brand had spread all over the country. She was thinking about how to operate the cold jade spring water to maximize her benefit. She cultivated hard, using her soul to absorb spiritual energy and the cold energy here to refine her soul. She did not dare to use her primordial spirit to observe the changes. However, if she cultivated here and used the cold air to refine her primordial spirit, it would make her primordial spirit more compact and sturdy, allowing her cultivation speed to be faster. Just as she was cultivating, all of a sudden, the cold pond in the center began to revolve, and the spring water inside began to emit musical notes, as though it was the sound of primordial times. The loudest sound is silent, and the elephant is formless. This voice charged into her soul and caused it to swell up. It was as if it was buffed by an overlord. Kacha, her soul completed some sort of transformation and actually jumped to Tao Realm Transformation 15, Heaven Eye Hanging Space. At this realm, the power of one's essence soul would increase greatly and become extremely condensed. One would not be afraid of wind, rain, thunder, lightning, or all sorts of changes in the world. Moreover, one's essence soul's perception could cover a radius of 500 kilometers, allowing one to see through even the smallest of things. What happened? Ding dong! As her primordial spirit observed, under the illumination of the starry sky, a treasure seemed to appear in the depths of the cold pond. This treasure was a zither. She didn't know what kind of wood the zither was made of, but it was gray with a mix of black and white. Who knew what kind of tendons the strings were made of, but the sound came from the zither. At the bottom of the zither, there were numerous sciention chaos swirling. On it, there seemed to be 24 dragon-shaped energy currents swirling around one another. This is one of the 9 race protecting treasures of the ancient star dragon race, the 10,000 music dragon zither. This zither can produce all sorts of sounds. Legend has it that all the sounds in the world can be played through this zither. It can allow one to comprehend the Tao, make one go crazy, and also make one feel refreshed. It can also release wind, rain, lightning, snow, and snow. This zither can change the weather of the 4 seasons. Legend has it that if a saint plays this zither, he can play the sounds of nature. The baptism of nature can not only raise one's talent, but it can also increase one's cultivation, comprehension ability, etc. The effects of the sounds of nature and heaven dew are even stronger. Gu Chernsha was the first to sense the treasure that appeared. As soon as he saw the treasure, he knew what it was. He didn't expect it to be the most precious treasure of the Star Dragon tribe. The ancient Star Dragon clan was the most mysterious and powerful dragon clan, even more powerful than the Azure Dragon. However, they had disappeared for no reason. However, during the Great Desolate Era, the astral dragons displayed the ability to destroy the world and regenerate all living things in the world. Among them, the 9 treasures of the Star Dragon clan were famous throughout the ancient era. One of them was the myriad melody dragon zither. This zither hadn't been created by the astral dragons, but was a connate spiritual treasure. However, it hadn't been born from the primordial chaos tree mountain. Instead, it had been naturally born from the Big Bang. This kind of sciention spirit treasure was extremely powerful. After the Star Dragon clan obtained it, they used many methods to strengthen it, causing it to automatically grow to an even more terrifying level. Metaphorically speaking, the dragon zither of all melodies was on the same level as the world-burying coffin, the bow of extrication, the arrows of permanence and impermanence, the Tai pearl, and the axe of cleansing that had just appeared. Of course, the world burial coffin had been operated by Jiang Gongwang for a long time, so the power and countless treasures inside were extremely shocking. The other treasures couldn't compare. To say that these treasures were on the same level meant that they were of the same quality. Just like humans, they were all geniuses. Some were at the God realm, while others had reached the Golden Core realm. Of course, this 10,000 music dragon zither had been refined by the Star Dragon, so it contained countless secrets. Even if it wasn't as good as the world burial coffin, it wasn't far off. This treasure was the one with the most weight. In particular, Gu Chensha knew that this treasure was of great help in regulating the world. If a sect obtained it and played it in their own dust world or spirit space, they would immediately be able to produce a myriad of sounds that permeated the world. It could strengthen the world's crystal wall, accelerate the operation of the internal world, and increase the power of the world. Not only would it increase the power of the world, but it could also multiply the power of the world. For example, a God realm expert could use the power of his world to strengthen the spirit space of his sect. Through this zither, he could amplify the power of his world by 3 to 5 times, or even 10 times, or even more. It could completely support the operation of his spirit space. Even if he wasn't a God realm expert, if he fell into the hands of an immortal and played his Dharma art into the zither, the power of the Dharma art could be multiplied by several times, or even 10 times. For example, the Dharma art that Gu Chensha just released was the body protection technique. It was a technique that used Dharma art to condense numerous runes. These runes combined to form a huge cover that protected the body from evil. However, the power of this body protection technique was limited. If he obtained this myriad notes dragon zither, he could inject the body protection technique's Dharma art into the zither and play it through the sound of the zither. At that time, even a god wouldn't be able to break it. In addition, this zither had many other functions. The moment this zither appeared, Gu Chensha had already noticed Longevity God. The moment this zither appeared, he immediately separated his true divinity and rushed over. Longevity God's current cultivation was no small matter. His true divinity had already touched the myriad notes dragon zither. But at this time, the myriad notes dragon zither issued a dense sound, like the vibration of a war drum, which actually shook Longevity God's true divinity and sent him flying. Even with Longevity God's cultivation of the 32 transformations, one thought connecting the heavens, he wasn't the opponent of this zither. The power of this zither had reached a realm that even sages couldn't approach. Good heavens! Gu Chensha nodded inwardly. This dragon zither is very powerful. Clearly, the Star Dragon clan has accumulated a lot of power in it. Longevity God can't subdue it. Longevity God can subdue the true divinity, but he can't do anything about this zither. The zither shook off Longevity God's true divinity and fell into Yuhuan Lu's body, directly entering her sea of consciousness. Gu Chensha originally wanted to take it, but seeing this scene, he gave up. He couldn't fight with his subordinates over the artifact. Since the myriad notes dragon zither chose the fated person, it was also the calmness Xian Si's wealth. But in the future, this woman would become a big shot of the calmness Xian Si, even more powerful than Jin Suebua. As long as she could use this myriad notes dragon zither properly, it wouldn't be strange for her to become a god-rank powerhouse in the future. Whoosh! Just as the myriad notes dragon zither entered Yuhuan Lu's sea of consciousness, a hand appeared behind her and gently grabbed Yuhuan Lu. At this time, the myriad notes dragon zither on Yuhuan Lu's sea of consciousness sounded again, trying to resist this hand. But the owner of this hand smiled lightly and said, "Little Qin, this is me and your former master, the Star Dragon clan. You should recognize me. Although your cultivation is tyrannical, it seems that you can't contend against me." The hand shrank inwards and instantly grabbed Yuhuan Lu into the depths of space-time, disappearing without a trace. "How dare you!" Gu Chensha was furious. He could already see that the owner of this hand was a person wearing a loose robe and a bronze mask. Without a doubt, this was the legendary Wan Senshi. Wan Senshi's background was extremely ancient, even greater than the 3 celestial venerables. He had appeared out of nowhere and unified the immortal Tao, and even many aristocratic families had submitted to him. Even Gu Chensha and Zhugaya, as experienced and knowledgeable as they were, didn't know who Wan Senshi was or what his background was. But there was no doubt that this person was an old antique that had existed since the primeval age, and he might even be a titan of the prehistoric civilization. But now, Wan Senshi had directly attacked a junior of the calmness CNC. Chapter 619. Wan Senshi's attack was sudden and carried with it a kind of invincible power, the power of a medium-class world. As the senior of the three heavenly venerables, Wan Senshi could certainly cultivate a medium-class world, and his accumulation was unfathomable. This time, he suddenly made a move that Gu Chunxia didn't have time to react. Moreover, he knew that even if he could react, he probably wouldn't be able to stop Wan Senshi's actions. Wan Senshi's actions had crossed some kind of bottom line. Gu Chunxia watched as Yu Huanlu was taken away. The anger in his heart was simply unparalleled, but he suppressed it. Wan Senshi had clearly declared war, so Gu Chunxia absolutely wouldn't be polite. In an instant, Gu Chenxia's divine will had already communicated with Zhuge Ye inside the sphere of the people's wish. Wan Senshi is actually so despicable to take away Yu Huanlu. This matter must not be left unresolved. Since Wan Senshi has chosen war, then let's fight. Gu Chunxia said to Zhuge Ye. Wan Senshi acted so brazenly, that means he's targeting the weakness of our tranquil, immortal department. Zhuge Ye said, but he miscalculated one thing, and that is, you actually obtained the secret of the Dharma Saint, thus allowing me to advance to the God realm. Moreover, the secret of the Dharma Saint is very useful to me, and it's not as simple as advancing to the God realm. I'll oversee the medium-class world, carefully operate it, and the power I can exert is enough to pose a threat to him, but that's all. An antique like Wan Senshi, every move of his is calculated. He gathered the profound immortal Tao sects and formed the alliance of 10,000 immortals, so there must be a huge conspiracy brewing. By making the first move and provoking the war, he must have laid out a pocket for us to drill into. Gu Chenxia's eyes seemed to be burning with flames. Yes, although I can't figure out what his conspiracy is, it's definitely not that simple. Zhuge Ye said, however, this time, our tranquil immortal department can't show weakness, we must launch a counterattack. And we must rescue Yu Huanlu. The place that Wan Senshi didn't calculate is my arrangement with the Dharma Saint. Gu Chunxia said in a faint voice, the Dharma Saint is about to succeed in refining the throne of the true God, but under that level of refining, my heavenly Tao law has begun to fuse with the throne of the true God. However, as long as the Dharma Saint suppresses it, I can't cause any mischief, I can only hide, and the Dharma Saint can still activate the throne of the true God. Right now, Gu Chunxia was like a virus, temporarily lurking in the throne of the true God, and would not be discovered by the Dharma Saint. Even if the Dharma Saint refined the throne of the true God, this hidden danger would still exist. However, Gu Chunxia could only lurk and could not make a move. Once he made a move, the Dharma Saint would be able to seize the traces and directly obliterate him. The power of the Dharma Saint was not to be underestimated. It seems that we have to cross the sea by deceiving the heavens, and attack the west. Zhuge Ye understood Gu Chenxia's meaning. The Dharma Saint is refining the throne of the true God, we will use this opportunity to ruthlessly swindle the Dharma Saint. Then we will have to use our savings. Gu Chunxia said, the Dharma Saint's calculations are also very profound. If we make a move, we may not be able to deal with him, but seizing back the throne of the true God is not a problem. It is very likely that our plan to deal with the Dharma Saint is also part of Wan Senshi's calculations. Zhuge Ye said, but we want to see, in this world, who has more profound wisdom. If I had not advanced to the God rank, I would be helpless against these two old monsters. But now we can go all out. In that case, let's go all out. Gu Chenxia's heart was completely filled with anger. Zhuge Ye and Gu Chunxia were not people who were afraid of trouble. Originally, this old monster Wan Senshi was just establishing the alliance of 10,000 immortals in the immortal path, snatching talents from the calmness immortal department and secretly plotting against them. This was nothing. But now that he had publicly arrested the Grand Commander of the Calmness Immortal Department, who was the Imperial Court, if this news spread out, where would the dignity of the Calmness Immortal Department go? The aristocratic families that were suppressed by the Calmness Immortal Department had already joined the alliance of 10,000 immortals. When they heard this news, they would certainly rejoice, and then cause trouble everywhere in the world. The situation that the Calmness Immortal Department had painstakingly created would collapse again. At that time, the world would be in a different situation, out of their control. We know nothing about Wan Senshi's strength. As the saying goes, know yourself and know your enemy, and you will always be victorious. Next, it's time to explore this person's strength. Fortunately, I have already made contact with Longevity God. Gu Qinsha said. In that case, I will join Longevity God's sect, sneak into the alliance of 10,000 immortals, and get close to Wan Senshi. I will contact Chang Weiyang, Tai Xuandu Wenhong, and a few other people in the immortal path who can get close to us, and launch a thunderous strike against the alliance of 10,000 immortals. Zhuge Ye said, At this time, I have already reached the God realm, so I have the ability to talk to them as an equal. Plus, I have the medium-class world, so I can be the alliance leader. In addition, I have mastered the method of Dharma Saint to resist the summon of the heavenly Tao, as well as the exquisite operation of his magical power. In time, it will not be a problem for me to make successive breakthroughs. In the immortal path, I can establish my prestige. Next, we need to be careful of the other high-level members of our Calmness Immortal Department. Since Wan Senshi has personally made his move, he will certainly make his move against other people. This was what Gu Qinsha was most worried about. There's no harm in that. The backbone members of our Calmness Immortal Department, such as Long Zifei and the others, all have the mark of a medium-class world on them. If Wan Senshi tries to capture them, it will attract the power of a medium-class world to kill them. If he tries to seize them by force, it will lead to an all-out war between two medium-class worlds. At that time, we can't care too much, we will have to fight to the death. Although this situation will come sooner or later, I think that Wan Senshi will never want it to happen now, Zhuge Ye said. However, it's hard to say what will happen to those who don't have the mark of a medium-class world. I see. Gu Qinsha said, It seems that I also have to quickly advance my strength and reach the God realm. Otherwise, the situation will become more and more difficult to deal with in the future. Your Highness, if you advance to the God realm, then the weight of the God realm will be dozens of times greater than mine. Let alone Wan Senshi, even if he joined forces with the three Empyreans, they still wouldn't dare to act so presumptuously today. Zhuge Ye sighed. Gu Qinsha also knew that although the speed at which he advanced was very fast, compared to the general trend of the world, it was still extremely slow. Right now, he had a cultivation of the 25th transformation of the Tao realm, the undying body. Even if he didn't consider the quality of his heavenly Tao magic, he was still considered to be in the upper echelons of the cultivators of the world. He was a giant who could establish his own sect. But if he wanted to reverse the general trend of the world, protect the central divine prefecture, rebuild the universe, and lock onto the direction of the future, the Calmness Immortal Department's path was still pitifully shallow. This bit of strength was far from enough. Compared to the surging tide, it was like a mantis trying to stop a chariot, overestimating its own strength. It seems that I will have to go all out, Gu Qinsha said. Only by borrowing the strength of the Dharma Saint can I do it again. I can use the shifting stars. I can fuse the all-elephants shattering cudgel, the release bow, the constant arrows, and the impermanence dual arrows into my body, becoming one with my heavenly Tao magic. This is extremely dangerous, Zhuge Ye said. Haste makes waste. Your Highness must be careful. Otherwise, there will be major problems. I know what to do. If we do it step by step, I'm afraid that Wan Senshi will push our calmness immortal department into an irredeemable abyss. Gu Qinsha frowned. Actually, I have devoured the Your Desolate Dragon Sect's decree and will and fused them into my body, but I haven't completely digested them yet. After crushing the Your Desolate Dragon Sect's will, I will use this opportunity to return all techniques to one. Your Highness's plans are all good. Then let's begin. Since Wan Senshi has made a move, then we will make him pay a sufficient price. Zhuge Ye's figure suddenly vanished from the dimensional realm's sphere. Gu Qinsha also retracted his will. He then faced Longevity God, who was equally shocked. Damn it, Wan Senshi actually made a move himself and seized the commander of Calmness Immortal Department. Isn't this a full-scale war? Those juniors of Calmness Immortal Department are all lunatics. Longevity God's heart was violently shaken. If they retaliate, I'm afraid the union of 10,000 immortals will suffer a huge loss. Although Wan Senshi will be fine, I'm afraid our members will be slaughtered and retaliated. Even though I have obtained the orthodoxy of Lu Xun and have reached the peak of the three lights of fortune, and longevity, I will still die in the face of this group of lunatics. Come, let's go back first. Longevity God did not dare to stay any longer. Although he was distressed that Wan Senshi had taken away the natural sound dragon zither, the next change made his hair stand on end. He was not a fool, so he naturally knew what it meant to cross the bottom line of Calmness Immortal Department. Thinking of the retaliation from Calmness Immortal Department, how could he still care about looking for fortuitous encounters? He immediately went back to prepare. Brother Wu Lu, what happened? Gu Qinsha deliberately asked. Since things have come to this, I can't hide it anymore. Gue Iku, I'll give you a good fortune. As Longevity God spoke, a stream of world force wrapped around Gu Qinsha, and then he flew up and floated away. He did not dare to tear the space. Because the force of tearing the space was too big, if something big happened here, Calmness Immortal Department would immediately notice it, and then operate their medium-class world to come here. Longevity God even knew that Wan Senshi must have seen him here, so he wanted to frame him. Longevity God could never contend against Calmness Immortal Department's medium-class world. He was still a tiny world, and had not even successfully created a small world. Under the enormous power of Calmness Immortal Department, he was no different from an ant. Brother Wu Lu, you. Gu Qinsha pretended to be panicked. I am Longevity God, one of the giants of the Union of 10,000 Immortals, Gue Iku. Now I accept you as my disciple. Your good fortune is great. Longevity God took Gu Qinsha away. At this time, in a strange spacetime, Yuhuan Lu, who had just obtained Myriad Sound's dragon zither, saw a man in a loose robe and a bronze mask, but she did not know whether he was a man or a woman. She felt the enormous power of Myriad Sound's dragon zither slowly rotating inside her body, which then condensed into a protective force around her body. She could not help but calm down a little. She was still far from being able to understand the secret of this Myriad Sound's dragon zither. Chapter 620. The myriad lax dragon zither continued to spin in Yuhuanlu's sea of consciousness, automatically playing many beautiful notes. These notes swam through her meridians, and every time they spun, her body would be cleansed, and her nascent spirit would grow stronger. However, she didn't have time to worry about that right now. Instead, she looked around at the man in the loose robe and bronze mask. Who are you? If my guess is correct, you must be one of the old-timers who stands at the peak of the world. That's why you dared to make a move against the Celestial Calmness Department. Your cultivation base should be even higher than the Dharma Saints. Do you think that not even the Dharma saint would dare to do this to the Celestial Calmness Department? Arresting an official of the imperial court is a grave crime. Don't make a mistake. Although Yuan Lu had fallen into the enemy's hands, she was neither servile nor overbearing. She displayed her excellent upbringing and the might of the imperial court. You're quite calm, little girl. The Celestial Calmness Department has raised you well. You've managed to create a medium-grade world with just a few brats. That's a miracle that hasn't happened since ancient times. I've been creating a medium-grade world since the primeval era, and it took me 80 to 90,000 years to succeed. Who knows how many tribulations and hardships I've gone through, how many enemies I've killed, and how much effort I've put into nurturing living beings and gathering faith to make it work perfectly. But that group of little guys succeeded so easily. It really makes me feel that the heavens favor them. Immortal Master Wan seemed to be in a good mood. Just who are you? Aren't you afraid of the Imperial Court's arrest? The Thunder Clan's Thunder Extreme Origin and Thunder Extreme Blood Extreme Ancestor are still kneeling on the plaza below the royal court. Is this lesson not enough to intimidate ambitious people like you? Yuan Lu's voice became sharp. Ha 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 ha! Wan Senshi laughed. Lightning Essence and Lightning Blood Essence, those two brats, were punished to kneel because they didn't have the ability. Not to mention them, even their ancestor, the Thunder God, is just a child to me. As for you, I can tell that you have the blood of the Jade God in you. You're her descendant. The Jade God even asked me for guidance in the past. Now that the Jade Deity has been sealed, you, a descendant of the Jade Deity, are actually siding with the enemy? Isn't that the same as betraying your master and destroying your ancestors? The Imperial Court has its own rules. The gods have interfered with the mortal world and suppressed the common people. The common people rebelled against the heavenly will and rebelled against the god. This is a normal behavior. Yuan Lu was not moved at all. You call yourself an elder, but no matter who you are, under the law, you cannot escape judgment. No matter how glib your tongue is, do you think you can shake my loyalty to the court? The little girl has been brainwashed quite well. Wan Senshi said, Do you think that I can't do anything to you just because you have the dragon zither of nature to protect you? This zither is the treasure of the Star Dragon tribe. However, the chief of the entire Star Dragon tribe was my junior back then. I can take this zither from you at any time. I don't know where this zither came from, and it's not that I don't fear you because of some treasure. It's just that behind me stands the Imperial Court, the calming Immortal Department, and the Emperor. A mocking smile appeared on Yuan Lu's face. You call yourself an elder, and everyone is your junior, but you are more cowardly than anyone else. When the Emperor suppressed the Divine Prefecture, why didn't you come out? When we, the calming Immortal Department, purged the Imperial Court and all the aristocratic families, you didn't come out either. But now you only dare to attack me. Clearly, your view is limited, and you still can't escape from the scope of intrigue. Little girl, aren't you afraid that I will make you wish you were dead? If you fall into my hands, I can take you into my medium-class world and let you suffer the pain of 10,000 reincarnations. In that medium-class world, I will turn you into the most degrading prostitute, lock you in a cage, and let you receive customers every day, day and night. Apart from that, I will let you suffer all the pain in the mortal world. In addition, I will erect a pillar in the alliance of 10,000 immortals, tie you to the pillar, and announce to the immortal Tao, so that all the cultivators of the immortal Tao will come and pluck you. How your calming Immortal Department treated and humiliated the Extreme Thunder Source and Extreme Thunder Blood, I will add 10 times the humiliation to you. I will let the entire Immortal Tao know what kind of torture the people of calming Immortal Department have to go through. All of a sudden, Wan Senshi's tone changed. It was cold and eerie, as if he had turned into a supreme devil from the deepest part of hell. Ha ha ha! Yuan Lu laughed again. Come on, come on. Just now, you mentioned the alliance of 10,000 immortals. So, you are Wan Senshi, the one who has been very active recently? If I was afraid of this, I wouldn't have joined the calming immortal department. Immortal Master Wan, I've long since been prepared to endure all kinds of suffering and humiliation. I'm not afraid of death. There's nothing in this world that I'm afraid of. In any case, calming immortal department will help me seek justice for all the suffering and hatred I have suffered. Just by relying on those little guys? Their means are still a bit immature. Wan Senshi said disdainfully. The reason why I caught you this time is actually to set up a trap to let those little guys walk right into the trap. I know that those little guys from Calming Immortal Department already know that I have caught you, so they will definitely come to your rescue. For the time being, Calming Immortal Department will not really go to war with me for the sake of the peace of the world. But I don't care. I can start a war at any time. I don't care what happens to the world. Perhaps Calming Immortal Department can't do anything to you, but His Majesty can definitely suppress you. When His Majesty returns, it will be your doomsday. Yuan Lu said, many old fogies think that His Majesty has completely disappeared. But not long ago, what happened in the Imperial Court has made many experts thoroughly aware of His Majesty's means. Wan Senshi, let me see what kind of ability you have that makes you dare to be so rebellious. Humph! Little girl, you have a sharp tongue. I really want to see if you can still be so stubborn when you are really in a situation where you can neither live nor die. That Emperor Gu Taxian? He will soon disappear completely. Do you think you can understand the mystery behind it? Wan Senshi's voice returned to its cold tone. As he spoke, he casually waved his hand. Instantly, countless sparks swirled around Yuan Lu, trying to drill into her body. Rumble! At this moment, the natural sound dragon zither in Yuan Lu's sea of consciousness let out a hurried sound. Then, streams of power seeped out and formed into musical notes that wrapped around Yuan Lu, blocking the torment of the sparks. What? Wan Senshi's tone was a bit surprised. Myriad sounds dragon zither. You're actually using up your vital energy to protect this little girl? You have to know that you are a treasure, and the fact that the Star Dragon clan has been condensing you for countless years has given you a huge reserve. Even a saint wouldn't be able to refine you, but you definitely can't block my power. Do you want to die? Ding dong! Ding dong! The myriad sounds dragon zither let out a very determined sound, as if it was telling Wan Senshi that it would rather die in glory than live in dishonor. You said that if I force you, you'll use your self-destruction technique? You'll die together with this little girl? Wan Senshi said, that's right. You do have that ability. Even if there were 10 of you, you still wouldn't be a match for me. However, you still have the right to die. I can't stop you from dying, nor can I make you suffer a fate worse than death. I admit to that. The myriad sounds dragon zither was a connate cardinal treasure, the rumored treasure of the Star Dragon clan. However, before Wan Senshi it was still nothing. However, it had the right to self-destruction. In front of Immortal Master Wan, an ordinary god-rank expert wouldn't even have the right to die. The power released by the myriad sounds dragon zither became even stronger, and it never stopped. It formed a sphere, protecting Yuan Lu tightly. As a treasure, you're willing to die to protect this little girl. It seems that she isn't just a fated person. Instead, you're under some kind of coercion. Wan Senshi asked, did the Star Dragon clan or you come into contact with that Gu Taxian in the past? Ding dong, ding dong. The myriad sounds dragon zither rang out again. Ha ha! Wan Senshi listened carefully and laughed again. You're actually trying to persuade me to submit to the Imperial Court? You're just a tiny dragon zither, yet you don't know your place. I think you're the one who doesn't know your place. Yuan Lu said, deep down you admit that you're no match for His Majesty. You can only stir up trouble in the dark, attempting to complete some kind of conspiracy. Actually, His Majesty can give you what you want. Why do you have to neglect the essentials and do something that's impossible to accomplish? You can kill me now, but it seems that I also have the ability to commit suicide. However, I still want to see what will happen to you. Do you really think that you have the ability to commit suicide? Wan Senshi said, I only need to spend some time and means to completely separate the myriad sounds dragon zither from your sea of consciousness. You'll still be in a state where you can neither live nor die. This myriad sounds dragon zither doesn't know what realm I've reached. Its understanding of me is still stuck in the ancient and desolate era. Since you're so stubborn, I'll let you know what true supreme power is. Gu Taxian. He's just a freak from God knows where. Once I complete the great ritual of salvation, he'll be devoured by the heavenly Tao. As for me, Wan Senshi will become the master of salvation. When that time comes, I'll be the only one with the authority to wield the heavenly Tao. If it weren't for that freak called Gu Taxian, I wouldn't have this opportunity. In the end, I still have to thank him. What are you talking about? I don't understand, but I know that you'll definitely fail, Yu Huanlu said. I originally thought that a little girl like you would know what's good for you and take me as your master. I would definitely impart a supreme heart technique to you and allow you to refine this dragon zither. However, you've actually insulted me. You've missed out on a supreme opportunity. Wan Senshi said, I can elevate you to the level of an innate saint. As long as I nurture you, you'll become a deity within a few decades. However, none of that has anything to do with you now. Chapter 6:21. In the face of Yu Huanlu's insults, Wan Senshi said, Little girl, I'll let you have your way with words now, but you won't regret it later. As he spoke, Wan Senshi was about to take Yu Huanlu back to the headquarters of the Alliance of Myriad Immortals. But at that moment a woman appeared. Immortal Master Wan, for better or worse, you're one of the ancient existences who possessed great power even before history. Now you actually dare to make a move against a little girl. I'm amazed. The woman's voice was faintly discernible. What? Immortal Master, are you going to meddle in my business? Wan Senshi stopped. He could already tell that this woman was the Immortal Master. In the realm of demons, the Immortal Master was even more mysterious and powerful than God Maha. But from the looks of it, Wan Senshi was not afraid of the Immortal Master. I'm not meddling in your business. This is a fight between you and those brats from the Calming Immortal Bureau. I'd love nothing more than for you to injure each other and reap the benefit. The Immortal Master did not hide it. That way, the Imperial Court would be under my daughter's control. In the end, the Divine Central Continent, the Great Yonko Court, and my daughter would be the prince. What's wrong with that? So that's what you think, Immortal Master. Immortal Master, Wan said. I thought that you would come to stop me when I wanted to carry out the world-saving ritual and kill your man. Why would I stop you? The Immortal Master laughed. If you want to carry out the great sacrificial ceremony, I can't even help you. Why would I stop you? My man is too strong, I can't control him at all. If you carry out the great sacrificial ceremony, you can weaken his strength and let him be with me. This is also one of my plans. Immortal Lord, your way of thinking is just too shocking. You should know that Gu Trampling Immortal isn't human, nor is he a devil, nor is he a demon. He's not a god, nor is he a god. We don't even know what he is. Wan Senshi said, Besides, if my great rite of salvation succeeds, he will definitely be devoured by the heavenly Tao. When that happens, you won't have him even if you want to. We'll talk about it later. In any case, it's just a test. In short, I came to you today to tell you not to make a move against my daughter, or else we'll go all out. Although I can't do anything to you, you can't do anything to me either. We are both existences of the same era, The immortal master said. Don't worry, I'm well aware of your methods, celestial master. Moreover, if you don't disrupt my great ceremony of salvation, I won't fall out with you. If we fight, both of us will suffer. As for those little fellows from the Celestial Calmness Department, they don't have the qualifications to fight with me, and I won't let you reap any benefits either. Immortal Master, are you interested in having a share? Wan Senshi tried to tempt him. Wan Senshi, if you look down on those little guys, you might suffer a big loss. You should know that Gu Chunsha has cultivated the heavenly Tao technique, which allows him to change at will. It's impossible for you to predict him. Perhaps he has already infiltrated your union of 10,000 immortals. The immortal master revealed the most crucial information. Heavenly Tao technique. Wan Senshi said, the Dharma saint has long told me about this. However, this technique has never appeared since the beginning of time, and no one has succeeded in cultivating it. Whether it's true or not is still debatable. Even if it's true, that little guy's cultivation base is too low. Power is power, and it won't change because of anything. If that little guy becomes a god, he can use the quality of the heavenly Tao technique to activate the power of the world and operate the medium-sized world. Then, he might pose a threat to me. But now, he's just a pesky fly, a petty thief who can't play a big role. Do you know that Zhuge Ye has already cultivated to the god realm? His cultivation base is not to be underestimated. He's now contacting the Universe Profound Sect, Tai Profound Sect, and Heavenly Dance Profound Sect. He's going to destroy your union of 10,000 immortals at all costs. You've underestimated the determination of those little guys. These little fellows are like newborn calves that are not afraid of tigers. In addition, they have a strong aura. After being humiliated by your subordinates who captured them like this, they will naturally fight with their lives on the line. We old fellows can endure it. When we encounter something, as long as it doesn't hurt our foundation, we can take our time to think about it. But these little fellows are different. Zhuge Ye is the Lord of 7 stars. Even the legendary Lord of Sun and Moon is only a little higher than him. Moreover, he has all of Jiang Gongwang's wisdom. If you take him lightly, I'm afraid you'll fail miserably. You should know that your strength is not as good as the Xingqiong clan's great divine land technique. The immortal master revealed many secrets. I have miscalculated this time. That Zhuge Ye has actually cultivated to the deity level? According to my calculations, he won't be able to break through within a year. He has 2 7-star profundities, and there are some things in his heart that are difficult to assimilate. If he doesn't solve that problem, he'll be stuck at that critical juncture. Now that he's broken through, it's a bit beyond my expectations. Wan Senshi was lost in thought. Your Tao of divination can practically predict 129,600 future paths. You can say that you've reached your limits. However, there are still some places that you can't predict. The reason why I'm here today is to tell you about it, so that your plans will be even more perfect. The immortal master smiled. What's your goal? Wan Senshi asked. Since you're here to tell me, you won't be speaking without thinking. Of course, the immortal master said. I also hope to break up the calming immortal department and let my daughter's Heavenly Designer Institute take over. If you want to hold the grand ceremony of salvation after my daughter becomes the Empress, she can assist you. What do you say? Your goal is clear, and so is mine. There's no conflict between us, is there? You're right, but the grand ceremony of salvation requires the heavenly sacrificial decree. Wan Senshi pointed into the distance. Your daughter cannot control the heavenly sacrificial decree. The one who controls it is Wu Dankong. Wu Dankong? I wonder what kind of destiny she has that she can gain the favor of the heavenly sacrificial decree. The immortal master shook his head. However, I have a way to strip the heavenly sacrificial decree from her. Immortal Master, if you had that ability, then you wouldn't need to cooperate with me. The heavenly sacrificial decree is on the same level as the boundless realms. Immortal Master Wan sneered. Don't tell me you think that your strength has already reached the realm of the Great Thousand Realms? You and I are both from a medium-grade realm, so we should know how great the true Great Thousand Realms are. It's not something that living beings can control. The heavenly Tao is constantly changing. Who can say what will happen in the future? Moreover, I have obtained some of my man's bloodline. You should know how amazing this bloodline is. That boy Gu Qinsha managed to cultivate the heavenly Tao because he refined this bloodline. The Immortal Master said, I still have a very deep foundation. Wan Senshi, this is the reason why I had a child with Gu Taxian in the past. If that's the case, then you have indeed obtained great benefits, Wan Senshi said. Then let's join forces and divide up the Celestial Tranquility Bureau. What do you want? I only want people. That Gu Qinsha, Lu Baiwei, Gu Huasha, Zhuge Ye, Jin Suebua, and a few other little fellows. Everything else can belong to you. The Immortal Master said. Including the medium-grade realm. You're really willing. I don't plan on taking those people. Even if I do, those people are rebellious and will bite you at any time. As the saying goes, nurturing a tiger will invite calamity. Even if I capture those little fellows, I will refine them all. Since you want people, then you can have them. However, you said that those little fellows are desperate. If I slap their faces, then they will fight me to the death. You can't just sit on the mountain and watch the tigers fight. Since you want to divide up with me, then you have to make a move. How about it? Wan Senshi knew that the Immortal Master was an existence that could speak to him on equal terms. Didn't you join forces with the Dharma Saint? The Immortal Master asked. Now that he has obtained the position of True God and is cooperating with Wu Dankong, it is very likely that he will be able to cultivate a medium-grade realm. The Dharma Saint's realm has also reached the Celestial Master level. He is indeed somewhat powerful, but he and I are not on the same side. Although he has joined forces with me now, he can play tricks on me at any time. Wan Senshi was still somewhat afraid of the Dharma Saint. The Dharma Saint's cultivation was slowly recovering. Although compared to Wan Senshi, he was still a junior, he was still an ancient great sage. Moreover, he was a sage who had broken away from the shackles of the heavenly Tao. Even Wan Senshi felt that the things that he had comprehended were very valuable. However, for the time being, Wan Senshi could still suppress the Dharma Saint. The Dharma Saint also admitted that Wan Senshi was much stronger than him. Therefore, the Dharma Saint had pulled Wu Dankong along and borrowed the power of her heavenly sacrificial talisman. In this way, Wan Senshi wouldn't be able to scheme against him. Once the Dharma Saint recovered his strength and transformed all of his Dharma realms into a medium-grade realm, his wings would be fully fledged, and he wouldn't need to fear those old fogies. In fact, although the Dharma Saint had joined forces with Wan Senshi to resist the Tranquil Immortal Department, he was still more vigilant against Wan Senshi than he was against the Tranquil Immortal Department. Most of his energy was focused on preventing Wan Senshi from annexing him or even harming him. Each and every one of these old fogies would eat people up without spitting out the bones. The Dharma Saint knew that the three celestial masters were the same. Since ancient times, it was unknown how many formidable existences had become nourishment for the three celestial masters. As for Wan Senshi, he was definitely not a good person. Since that's the case, let's join forces and exterminate the Dharma Saint and the Tranquil Immortal Department. The legalists want to refine their own medium-grade realm, which is a threat to us. We have to exterminate them. If he manages to refine a medium-grade realm, then wouldn't he be able to contend with us and negotiate with us? His ideals and will aren't of the same mind as ours. We absolutely can't let him grow, said the Immortal Master. You mean we should kill the Dharma saint before he manages to refine a medium-grade realm? Asked Wan Senshi. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.